Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Canadian Contenders League Week 1, Day 2. I'm Corbeck, joined here by Sticula with Narwhals and Unnamed on production, and we have an exciting matchup for you today. Some top-shelf Canadian talent being brought to the fore. Shinigami versus Ember Rose Esports. Excited to be here today, Stick, and excited to see these teams play.
Yeah, this was a bit of an early one here. We got up in the early morning for us West Coasters, and we're here to watch some good Canadian Siege. Of course, the first two teams on the docket already spoken about, Shinigami versus Ember Rose. There's been a lot of talk in the preseason about where these two teams match up, and Shinigami has been a name that's been around in Siege for a fairly long time. This is not just one that has sort of been built up specifically for the Contenders League. They've played in previous CL quals from what I've heard in the past, and they've had some other tournament experience. Some of their members definitely look familiar to me, but on the other side, Ember Rose Esports is a little bit more of an unknown quantity, a roster who we don't quite know yet if they're going to be able to prove themselves today, but against a storied opponent like Shinigami, could be a good opportunity to get out early from the gate and take some first week points.
Indeed, and it is a best-of-2 format. For those of you who are League of Legends fans, you might be familiar with this setup. Maybe CSGO in your world as well. You'll understand. It's just going to be two maps. If one team does win both maps, they will get 3 points on the chart. A tie, I believe, will result in 1 point for each team, and that is the system we will be using going forward here. Obviously, it is week 1 of the season. Like you said, we're kind of basing our speculations here, Stick, on observations about kind of the reputations of these teams. In terms of hard data, hard statistics, we really don't have very much to go on. So it'll be very interesting to see them come out swinging on this map and kind of set the bar, I guess, for the start of the season and where these two teams want to be. Hopefully, Shinigami will not run away with it, but Shinigami are psychopomps of Japanese mythology, so perhaps they can lead their opponents to death today, and they'll certainly be looking to do that out here.
And one thing you might be thinking about is the rosters and who actually makes up either of these two teams. For Shinigami, they are captained by Kenji Meister, who's been around in Siege for a very long time. I've seen him on Twitter and all about the place. Also got Cam Season, Cryptix, Phoenix, and Maple. And that's a name you might be a little bit more familiar with there at the bottom of the Shinigami roster. Of course, Maple actually playing for Wave Runners in Challenger League, which is definitely a bit of an interesting quirk. Over on Ember Rose, a little bit more unknown. We don't terribly know what their roster is going to be made up of. We have the names, but we have yet to see how they're going to play when it actually comes down to game day.
Right, that'll be Chars there, Big Papa, Savages. We did not clone Savages. I believe that's a typo. There's not two Savages playing for him. Would just be good if he's really good. It wouldn't be so good if he didn't do so well. But and then finally, Happy rounding it out right there. So, like you said, a bit of an unknown in terms of a roster. I mean, you mentioned it yourself. The Shinigami name is well known. Maple, very strong player, can only benefit that roster overall in terms of their ability. I do recognize a handful. I think I remember seeing Chars play a little bit in Big Papa. They are not bad players by any stretch of the word. They wouldn't, frankly, be competing today if they were bad players. I do think they're going to have to battle back a little bit, especially when you're going up against a Challenger League player. That's going to give you something to aim for and to fight for today in this matchup, but certainly it will not be an easy street walk, perhaps, for that Ember Rose side.
Yeah, this could be a very tough game. We were sort of talking about it behind the scenes in the green room about what potential results that we could see out of this match. I think there's a pretty big likelihood that Shinigami could take a very violent and dramatic win, but, with Ember Rose being so uncertain, it's hard to predict how they're going to play. It's play day number 1. You're not going to have a whole lot of footage to go back on for Shinigami. They can't really do any VOD reviewing, so it's pretty much just going to be how either of these two teams have played in practice and then taking that and sort of exporting it now onto game day, and we could have a bit of a clash of styles, so to speak. As far as maps, I've taken sort of this vow to step back and not peek behind the curtain to get surprised when we actually have the veto come through, and we'll take a look now towards that. It'll be a Coastline and Oregon ban first 2, which I definitely would say more towards Oregon. Nobody's going to be complaining about that, but we do have Cafe Dostoevsky coming in, which does make me wince just a slight bit, but a good clubhouse game is always fun to cast there for Shinigami.
Two grown yards here, the old reliable Maps Cafe and Club. We casted a club or cafe game together yesterday, actually, Stick, for another competition. So we're well familiar with that one at this point in time. The old box with its many floors will be an interesting challenge. That is Ember Rose's pick as well. So that is where they feel comfortable starting out. And then, well, everybody feels comfortable on Clubhouse, don't they? At the end of the day, it is one of the toppest maps, right? One of probably the most played maps in any level of Siege, if I was going to go so far and venture it. And the strategies are well known, the setups are well known. That could actually benefit Ember Rose just a little bit. It's always good to get a map that you are familiar with, so you can go in and get the setups that you like and that you're comfortable with. You know your rotations, you know the way in which your opponents will try and counter said rotations, and you can kind of take steps to actively work around that. Obviously, both these maps do also open up a little bit of opportunity for some strategic variance if teams want to try and bring out some different and interesting ideas. But considering it is sort of, match one for these guys in week one, I would not expect them to be, busting out anything too crazy unless it's something that they've been sitting on in scrims for a long time that they are just so eager to get out here and show us.
Yeah, generally that's kind of what happens on sort of a more like early regular season situation. You're not seeing any groundbreaking strats. We're not Six Invitational here. Teams are just going to kind of play their defaults more or less, is what I would expect. For Ember Rose, there's not really too much to go on. We don't know how much they play. We don't know if they're more of kind of this, maybe flexible team that loves to roam or more turtle-centric, but we can go ahead and let the gameplay do the talking. We'll jump over towards Ember Rose's pick of Cafe Dostoevsky and get underway with these operator bands.
Well, Thatcher flying off the board first. No surprises there. The man cannot keep a steady job out here in competitive Siege play. He's just not to be trifled with, unfortunately. And I think you said it best the other day. There aren't a lot of Thatcher mains out there in the world right now for very good reasons. And Cafe, maybe not a map where he's an absolute must ban, but certainly having him off the board will make your life a little bit easier. Buck being taken out by Ember, interesting choice. He does provide very strong soft destruction, which is super valuable on this map, and especially in terms of the vertical play. But Sledge still exists, Ash still exists if you choose to play it, so you're not completely shutting that down. I do wonder if it maybe is a bit of a targeted ban, but Valkyrie getting taken out at the tail end here as well. Sticula, that's no surprise. She is consistently being banned across most competitions these days because those black eye cameras are just far too strong. And then rounding it out will be Mira.
The Buck one definitely takes me aback a little bit. We don't have many Buck bans, and, the Skeleton Key has kind of been kept up in the tool closet for a little bit lately with the kind of weird state that the meta is in. You're always in need of frag grenades, and so there's really not much flexibility to drop a Buck there into your composition. But the main reason why in a Cafe Dostoevsky scenario you'd probably see the Buck would be for a what's called the cocktail take on the third floor bar. A lot of attacks are the same thing when it's bar and cocktail that the offense are trying to push towards. You drop the red and new hatches, and then you try to push for cigar shop, piano, pixel, and eventually freezer control. But the other side of the coin that is pretty unseen, at least as far as sort of this T4, T3 level is considered, is that vertical take and the window repels outside cocktail. The Buck can make that very easy. It allows you to kick out players that love to hide inside cocktail. Notably, somebody like a Maestro loves to hide there back in C1. So having the Buck will be very helpful there, but it seems like Ember Rose, they do not want Shinigami to be able to facilitate the vertical take once they get onto the attack half.
Well, it's a bit of a bold play, actually, coming out here on the Shinigami defense. They're starting off with Kenji Meister coming out on that Goyo. They are forsaking a smoke here. So the shields that they will have, especially if they're trying to use shields to hold that pixel peak, as many teams do, will solely be the Volcan, which could, cause a little bit of problems for a defender there, especially when I talk about perhaps the ability of a cutoff into that white hallway by the bathroom. Maybe makes falling back just that more difficult for whoever gets posted up there. It's usually the Jaeger, but maybe they'll put the Wamai in that position just to have the magnets there readily available as the round proceeds. The real interesting thing here will be to see how Ember Rose comes out and attack this. You mentioned that piano take is the very sort of standard push in that many teams will do, and it looks, at least initially as they go up onto the roof, like they may be thinking about that, just given where Big Papa is in relation to these top hatches and where the rest of the team is as well.
Standard progress so far with Ember Rose preparing to set up for the controlled take coming in from the red hatch. They're going to have a bit of a mute jammer to try to deal with. It's going to obstruct the droning progress and burn a little bit of time. I imagine Cam has probably placed one on the red wall, which is going to have somebody rotate out towards the ticket window. You can see the drop down coming right now from Big Papa, I do believe, but Phoenix is on a slight bit of a flank. Hoping that he can move up the staircase. You don't hear that distinct beeping of a Nomad's air jab, so Phoenix the Jaeger might have an opportunity to creep in amongst the ranks here for Ember Rose and do a little bit of destruction work. Seems like he won't get droned, and he finds Cartley up through the red hatch. A good find for early on. He cut down the Zofia before she was even really able to get any of her lifelines to use.
The loss of those lifelines there means taking this pixel area and the bathroom is going to be that much harder. You're almost entirely dependent on frag grenades now. One will sail in and take out the Volcan that was waiting in pixel, but that's not too much of a problem. Cryptix is still in the general area. I feel like the value that they got out of Phoenix right there is a little inexcusable, all things considered. You have a Nomad here. You had Jaguardo's drone in that general area as well, so a little bit rough in terms of losing him so early on, but that's okay. They'll continue it forward here. Kenji Meister posted up there at the bottom of White, or towards the bottom of White Stairs, just waiting to kind of come back up and engage if need be. But it looks like the members of Ember have finally managed to make their entry here. I say that though. Oh, Maple gets one with the evil eye. Oh, unfortunate indeed. Cryptic swings out, gets another one, and the attacker's now staring down the battle of a 5v2.
Yeah, and without really much notable map control, they've been forced out of Piano. They'll have to try to charge back in. Now they have finally detected this evil eye. They just took out their teammate. I imagine that's pretty high up on the list of pieces of utility to remove here, Korbeck, but the problem is you really don't have anything to get rid of that, and I think the round is probably going to come to a 10 with that evil eye in Piano. Still remaining up and zapping the enemies. Jaeger will go for a swing. He falls through the hatch, but JD Henny still taking quite a portion of damage from Maple over by Heaven, just letting that Alda roar. And it'll be Shinigami who pull away with a round 1 victory. Not the convincing Ember Rose attack I think they were looking for.
No, and I don't think Shinigami looked particularly fussed there either, if we're being honest. Just kind of walk that one through relatively easy. That attack stifled and died around that piano area. I mean, from the very first, right, there were some slight mistakes that I think were made. The fact that there wasn't an air jab covering red stairs was maybe a bit of a misstep, if only because even having to destroy it would have at least given you an idea that somebody was there. And on a map like Cafe with the verticality, you really do need to shut down those rotates to make sure somebody doesn't do exactly what Phoenix did at the beginning. But it kind of set a tenor for the rest of the matchup. They just could not get in through piano, and I think part of that was largely because they lost the Zofia early on, and it changed the way in which they had to address that. I mean, you think about that Maestro camera that was set up right there and how easily a lifeline could have destroyed that evil eye if they had still had the Zofia option available, but alas they did not, and you just kind of saw him get stifled out by a loss of intel and a loss of life.
Does give you some food for thought as far as what has got to change on that third floor attack from Ember Rose. I think I'd like to see a little bit more use of the window repels. It's hard to really assess that one because it felt like, it wasn't just Pixel that led to their downfall there. They lacked proper coverage, really no safety from the red flank. Losing out on your Zofia early is never a position you want to be on for Cafe, which has a lot of utility that you're going to need to burn, and the lifelines can be very helpful using some of those concussion grenades to disrupt other player positions. Shinigami are going to go down, executing a kitchen hold with a little bit of vertical flare from up above their inside train. for my sake and the game's sake, I'm hoping that Ember Rose do not ignore the vertical, but so far it kind of looks like we're just going to see a bakery-only take. They do have the hard breach duo, Maverick and Ace, so they should be able to theoretically clear out any mute jammers or Kate Electro Claws that have tried to stall the hard breaching process, but the problem is with the Cade, a lot of times you'll see it thrown up kind of on the ventilation duct, and it's not an easy grab. I imagine Char's is probably going to go for more of a Mav trick here. Seems like he will. There's a Surya Gate in place and a Nitro. He'll be tossed out, but unfortunately, looks like the Surya Gate there reactivates and destroys the explosive utility, which is a bit of a shame. But now that the Mute is playing for Prone, the Maverick, he might get his feet ripped off once he tries to go for this. In fact, it probably comes very soon. Char's trying to take cover, but he'll have to take some damage from the electrification effects on the wall. But never fear, the Maverick does manage to successfully trick the wall, gets it open. A little bit of teamwork there from the Zofia as well with the soft wall now gone. Ember Rose have got a decent sight line into kitchen cooking.
It's a very dangerous assault right there from the Maverick, the way that they opened up that hole at floor level. Obviously, the Surya Gate not taken down yet, and Kenji Maestor is just sitting up here waiting for somebody to come in because they really have not cleared out this vertical at all, which makes all these murder holes that much more effective. I mean, you see 4 bodies right there stacked up in Bakery or around it waiting to push in, and the 5th one over there by Small Bakery window. So, you know, usually these attacks try and capitalize on speed, or at least the ability to kind of get that wall open and start moving, but they're not really able to do that at this particular instance. Frag Grenade comes sailing in there from Big Papa. That's a very good kill to start things off. Cam is down. We'll see if they can continue to make this happen. Big Papa here stacked up. Char's going for the other half of the wall, taking a sweet time about it, and the poor man is just taking so much chip damage here, Stick.
Yeah, he's just kind of been slowly bled away like leeches there inside Bake. Currently will rotate to play over by Small, but he's got to fight against the Mozzie one. He will swiftly win, and he'll end an adaptation as well to try to go fight the vertical. I love this move from Cartley. Moves up but spots the yellow, however, a second too late, and we all know when the clock is starting to run out, that FO12 just becomes so much more powerful. Big Papa, he's rezzed back into the fight as the challenge will come, but Kenji will line up 2 hitting headshots along the journey, and Phoenix to finish it out with the pistol. Just a round where Ember Rose gets stalled out over by the Bakery, and with less than 20 seconds, try to force into the site. Well, that's slim pickings for them, and the defense, they just get to play their angles.
Yeah, that was like one of the olden days sieges, like an actual siege. They all just tried to funnel in through one breach and just slowly got cut down one by one. There wasn't a lot they could do. I mean, they did good work, I would say, getting kills, picking up, you know, a few gunfights here and there. But one of the things that obviously hurt them, we both mentioned it during the round, just that lack of vertical clear. As on a map like Cafe, you have to assume that there will be defenders above you, and the time at which you have to go deal with said defenders is not as you're trying to push the breach getting shot by a shotgun. You want to have done that earlier on in the round. And I mean, I appreciate trying to push in through Bakery. I know a lot of teams do it, but going that sort of slow with all the chip damage that's being dealt to map as you just slowly work your way in there, I think that just gives the defenders way too much time to flex and set up the positions they like to have. I mean, it kind of got the feeling it was one of those shooting galleries at a country fair there for those guys on the top floor. They just kind of picked their targets and went, and there wasn't a whole lot that Ember Rose could do about it. But back up to this second floor point now, and they'll be setting up this third floor defense. Obviously, the extension going to be very much a thing. Again, the Volcon making an appearance. A noticeable lack of smoke here, actually, in the Shinigami comps, which is a little bit interesting, all things considered. Just he's usually such a valuable defender to have, and so many teams do like to run him. But I appreciate them bringing these these Goyos to kind of fill in this gap. It's an interesting sort of change to see the Volcons being used that way. So instead of just as supplementary shields.
Doesn't seem like Shinigami really need the smoke terribly too much, and for the top floor extension, smoke, all things considered, you're going to want to have a little bit more long-range equipment. I always kind of wonder about those window repels. It's been a little bit underutilized by Ember Rose so far, and I think that's been kind of a notable theme across the first round. Definitely was a big part of why they didn't lose, or why they did lose, but also in the second round, You know, you could open the mining window, and that puts a lot of pressure on the Aruni. I don't think she's able to use the vertical angle there, but we'll revisit that topic once Kitchen eventually comes back around in the second quarter of rounds here in the first half from Shinigami. Leverage coming from the sledge out on Repel. The problem is with this vertical take, you have got to be efficient. The more time you waste, that just gives defenders the ability to hold out and kind of hide in these so-called dark zones where there's no intel and the attackers have to push in blind. A Vulcan shield, we were just talking about that, detonates that pixel.
Oh.
Maple will swing out, finds one on Happy. Nomad down and out of the fight. Now the Goyo starts to pull back, but Maple is going to pick off a second before eventually retreating away. But the Goyo theoretically could still continue to hold on to White here with the Wamai playing from wood stacks as well. This is a very lethal crossfire. They're going to have to kind of push it more or less dry, force their way down that hallway, but at any moment, you could have a Shinigami defender swing wide and Nitro will be launched up, but a great find there by Char's as the Iana will finally net a belated trade against the early death of her two teammates.
They burned more than 2 minutes, though, like holding this defensive positioning. That is just unfortunate indeed. Phoenix stacks up another one there. The piano is probably playing something like a funeral march here for this Ember Rose attack because, I mean, what are they going to do in this situation? JD Henny pretty much trapped in Freezer, going to try and get out. This could be a good frag grenade from Chars if he can get it off. You won't get the kill. Kenji Meister instead picking off JD Henny. That leaves everything on the shoulders of Chars right here, trying to push into a heavily defended position. Chars going to rotate around past Cigar, come out into the main bar area for him, and Phoenix just swings the corner and shuts it down. So another particularly solid round for the Shinigami side.
Yeah, that looked like Shinigami had a very clear picture in mind of what they wanted to do. They wanted to stall the attack out with the extension. Shinigami did so. Ember Rose never moved past it, and that's round 3 in just a few words. There was a bit of an awkward moment. I think Ember Rose need more window repels. I think if they put pressure on the white window or just even opened it, Korvac, that puts so much more pressure. You can't play white stairs if that window's open because you have to kind of watch your back, and it just creates a situation where there's so much uncertainty that it kind of isolates the angle, you could say, a little bit. And then now that you get the white stairs window open, you can push down the white hall, and it's not, this two-angle situation that you're trying to fight with, with nitros being launched over railings and all of this crazy nonsense. You just push for a pretty direct gunfight, but Ember Rose could not adapt to that in the moment, and unfortunately it's their undoing as Shinigami are going to secure a flawless rotation, and we're back up to Bar and Cocktail. If you had to pin down one thing to change here for Ember Rose, what would it be?
I think some of it is just down to adaptations. I think one of the things they kind of missed out on that last round was how they should have adapted to the fact that you basically had Maple bunkered up in the bathroom. And you make a really good point about getting someone over on that white window, getting it open, kind of watching that angle. You have frag grenades available as well to try and force that player out of that bathroom area if possible. I mean, you're leaving, arguably probably the best gunner on this squad. Maybe not the best, but certainly very strong, right? He's a Challenger League player for a reason. But he's gonna be in there, and if you don't take care of that, oh, look at that cheeky spawn peek from Kenji Meister, not able to bring it down. Char is very lucky to escape with his life right there. But if you just leave that kind of a talented player uncontested like that in that position, he's just gonna get kills. And I mean, after the first death, they had to know he was there, and instead they just kind of kept fading in the same way. So I think whoever's IGLing here needs to just work maybe on the rotations or the adaptations about how they approach these sites, and maybe look at some different ways to attack things, because it's all seeming very one-dimensional right now from Ember Rose. Very mono-dominant strategy of just, we all go in through Bakery, or we will all come in through this Red Hatch, or what have you. And I mean, that sort of tactical inflexibility just does not win you rounds.
And not on Cafe at all. You have got to be dynamic on this map. So, being so rigid can be bit of a difficult one. Phoenix will make an aggressive play, but he's caught out. Spotted by the Nomad, will send some return fire and does manage to skate back up the white stairs, but taking HP, I suppose that's karma for Kenji's spawn kill attempt. It's about an equal portion of health is taken apart from Phoenix as it was over on Char's just a few moments earlier. It seems we've got that cocktail take coming in here. A lot of window repels, but Shinigami are careful not to get complacent. Maple will be down. I believe that's credits to JD Henny playing from the reverse repel, who will now down a second. But I don't think it's going to be able to net the confirm just quite yet, so you'll probably have somebody drop down to try and revive him. Castle will shoot the drone in the meanwhile. Rather, that was the player hiding at Tarp's side, but still 2 defenders DBNO'd. Finally, now the Jaeger is brought back up, but there we go from Cartley, moves up the staircase in a great move there, earns the confirm, the kill, and a second. Tries to swing, but not able to get that one. Maybe a trade to come in from the Nomad, but a little bit delayed on the reaction. Still, though, 2 versus 4 territory, looking like Ember Rose have got a real solid chance of picking up their first attack win.
It's been very solid window play. You were talking about how important that is, and they've done a good job. Cam gets one at the top of the stairs with the SMG-11. Can't get the swing back in from Happy. Of course, they weren't able to get Maple up either, so everything down to Cryptix here. The plant going down, but it'll be Happy to finish. Cryptix not able to battle back in that situation. He was kind of damned if he did, damned if he didn't with the plant going down anyway. I would say a much more solid round from Ember Rose, showing a little bit of flexibility there as well, coming in on another side and really making it stick.
Yeah, Ember Rose, they make a change. They don't go for the same attack as we saw in the first site, the first time Bar was played, and so they pick up a round off the back of it. Shinigami had a little bit, kind of some problems. They were overexposed to the angles from out on the rappel. I don't think they were quite prepared for Ember Rose to rotate. Maybe they thought it was just going to be in a bar and cigar shop the whole entire time as far as the attack plans go. But down to Kitchen again here, so you got to be prepared to counter this. And the point that I was going to make when the round concluded here on Kitchen and Service and Cooking was try to apply some pressure from out on the mining balcony, because we saw how well Shinigami used the angle just down onto the main breach. Ember Rose couldn't walk in because there was that sight line from inside of mining, so if you just station somebody out there on the HVAC balcony for Ember Rose, you can easily deny that angle and, you know, constantly establish that threat against Shinigami, that you can't just sit inside mining. There's going to be somebody there outside contesting you. You know, I see the point for Ember Rose, why they wouldn't want to go for a full clear against a team like Shinigami, who can be very flexible. They've got a Mozzie being brought as well, so a full clear, you're going to have trouble when you're trying to drone that, but you know, it just takes a small thing like having somebody out on the window. And I would say as well, Korbeck, last round they had a lot of bodies inside Bakery that didn't look like they were really doing much. They were just kind of standing around waiting for something to happen, and, you know, why not have somebody go up there? You know, you're essentially just wasting time if you don't.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. That was something that I noticed as well. It was a bit as a trench warfare scenario. Their reserves were just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen, and they could use them a little bit more dynamically. You mentioned the HVAC balcony. I think that's a really valid place for someone to play, just to kind of prevent that sort of hunting blind setup on that top floor. But this is a good air jab going out right there from Happy, just securing that small bakery rotate. Phoenix is in this general area, so he will be hunting. They do have to be careful pushing in, though. I mean, obviously, the sightline's still very dangerous. That is not a good way to start, though. Cam striking early with the SMG-11. No, not the Mav as well. It's just a terrible loss early on. Unfortunately, as Charles de Gaulle once said, Graveyard's still full of indispensable men, and you would very much like that Maverick back right now.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to have to go over there and try to pick up the Surrey torch and get it back in action, but I don't imagine that's going to happen. Now it looks like Charles, he tries to travel in from Bakery, but cut down by Phoenix playing from Red Stairs, and the Jaeger looking for a second helping. As he moves back down the staircase, the Sophia will hop out, and, you know, the call's got to come here eventually from Ember Rose. What's the decision? Are you going to try to continue to double down on the Bakery push, even when you do not have any of your, you know, Maverick gas left, or even the Maverick flat out? What's the plan going to be?
What a clumsy attempt at a challenge there on the top floor. Just kind of face-checked it. That's unfortunate. Good kills, though, coming out from JD Henny. Popping off very briefly on the Habana. Gets 2. Still got a lot to battle through here. Maple, Cam, and Kenji Meister are all waiting. So not exactly an ideal scenario, but at least you tried to level the playing field a little bit. Still, this is all the defenders to lose at the moment. Some shots coming in there from, I believe, is Big Papa on these red stairs. They will go in for a drone as well and just try to get an idea of the enemy's distribution. You see Kenji Meister there sneaking up through the kitchen as well, trying to get themselves in a little bit better position to counter this out, trying to use those floor peak holes. That could be absolutely devastating. It does work. JD Henny is down, and now in a very dangerous situation is Big Papa, because they either have to come out and try and get that, or they have to try and hard swing these doors. A good kill there onto Maple. He goes in on the other side, can't quite get it through the breach, pulls out the sidearm instead, goes for the shots, doesn't find it on cam, running back for cover. Zofia has ever turned, but it's just not enough. Trapped here in small bakery with a dying teammate, like two climbers abandoned on Mount Everest. What can possibly happen in this scenario? Papa picks up the diffuser, goes for the hero play, does not find it. Kenji Meister cleaning up with the 2 kills at the end.
You know, I was really hoping off the back of that bar attack that would signal Ember Rose were prepared to be more flexible, you know, kind of be more fluid, but we got a bakery. They lose the Maverick, which is this huge crux of the attack, and they really, the change that they make is so small and so it looks kind of like they're not committed to it. You know, they send the Nomad up to try to fight inside mining. She's trying to flashbang, but she doesn't got any cover, and it's just kind of all around sort of this awkward situation. Does not boil down well. You know, despite the efforts of JD Henny getting his frags as the Habana, they were ultimately impactless, as Shinigami will still put up the round on the board. And so now the decision to repeat on the bar or to see reading, we'll have that now. It'll be the second floor hold that we see. So Shinigami don't want to go back to the bar where they just lost 2 rounds ago. Instead, they want to go where they are more comfortable. And I would venture to say the reading and dining round was the most dominant of all that Shinigami accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, that first round was pretty impressive, but in terms of, I kind of think, like, you know, having established both sides, their skill levels and what have you as we moved on, it was this last second floor defense that did look kind of overall quite decisive. We'll see what they do with their setup here and how Ember Rose kind of responds to this. They should theoretically have a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like, right? And how they should counteract it. That's going to be the hard challenge, whether or not they go for that piano area push again. I mean, it was pretty disastrous last time, and it looks, to me at least, like they're shying away from it just a little bit. But then again, trying to rush up these back white stairs, if that's really what they're going to try and do, that's a danger in and of itself. And it does look like they're going to try it, Stick. They're going to push right up white stairs and try and just slip into the bomb site.
But now they fall off, so they baited us a little bit there. Big Papa, he doesn't feel comfortable going for the full swing, and the rush will probably be canceled. He'll go for the rotate around and approach this from a little bit more of a sensible attack formation. I'm hoping that this signals more use of the repels. It's, you know, why not repel at this point? You know, last time Ember Rose had a lot of situations where they were kind of just feeding manpower against the guns of Shinigami, and we saw how that went. Eventually, it just kind of resulted in Ember Rose losing by attrition. They didn't have anybody left to try to fight through this, but the timing, a lot of times, kind of the metric that we go by is clearing the extension with, I'd say 60 seconds to go is probably the valid number, maybe 75 in the current meta. And it's 90 seconds or thereabouts, and Ember Rose have not really stepped into bar yet. So it's going to be hard to reach that metric with the pace that they're on currently. We might just see them rotate. You got Cartley kind of holding the flank there down by the mining hall, and utility needs to be cleared. You've got the Aruni Gates, ADS, and a Goyo Shield as well, so clearing this is not going to be the world's easiest task. Maybe they're going to go for Hard Breach from there inside of the freezer side. We'll have the Ace rotate in, and now a nade sent over, but nobody there to be the victim. And now with the Hard Breach successful, that should cause the rotate. It will. Kenji will drop back, Maple playing a little bit more reserved. So Ember Rose, they have managed to do it. Unlike the last round, they have forced the defenders out from the top floor, but will they still be able to capitalize in the 5-on-5?
Tick tock, tick tock. I mean, you're running out of time here. It's taken them so long to reverse march off of the white stairs to come around to the top deck. I mean, they're being, very methodical about this, but you're almost 30 seconds left now in the round, and you're really not threatening in just yet. I mean, you can get to the windows of, or the walls of A, I should say. You'll see Eduardo do exactly that, and slowly but surely they are opening things up. Less than 20 seconds on the clock to go. You are running out of time. You're late for a very important date here with the bomb site, and that's not going to help. Chars blasted on the stairs. Cryptix gets another one. Kenji Meister cleaning up as well, and Shinigami just send a hailstorm of death towards the attackers. All that just kind of dissembling, moving around, trying to find a new way to get in, and it all ends in just a flurry of brutal gunfire. Unfortunate indeed for the attackers.
That's the first half. Curtain call, a 5-1 for Shinigami as their defenses looked pretty well prepared. Ember Rose only having that one win, attacking onto the bar. It looked like a decent round, but a lot of issues to look back on in their attack performance on this map, and it kind of leaves me a little bit concerned as to why they picked Cafe Dostoevsky of all maps. It looks like they do have some experience. They aren't completely lost, but they just don't have the ability to rotate here, and that's a big factor on game day. You have got to be able to change your attacks and your defense to, kind of situate against your opponent, because Shinigami, they can change. They can make adjustments on the fly, and Ember Rose, it feels like it's kind of forced when they have to make these adaptations. It's never this, very nice and smooth transition. Especially thinking about the kitchen site, how the rotations went there. It was always a very, this grinding process of trying to change, and did not look great for them. But the second half, it's a new start as much as you could say. But the one thing about this, today's game day. And so Ember Rose, they've only got really one round that they can afford to your quarterback. If they give away that round, that's going to chip off the potential for points that they could earn here. That would make it a maximum of 2 that they could win. They would have to win 5 more rounds, trigger overtime, and then win 2 to close out that OT. And even still, after that, they would have to play Shinigami on their map.
It's gonna have to be a hell of a new start. This is like a get a haircut and a change of clothes kind of new start. This is like move across the country, change your name sort of start. Unfortunate indeed. My lord. We'll see what Ember Rose does on the defense. You see the Wamai coming out here, the Mozzie as well, Volcon making an appearance. Pretty standard stuff, really, and how you want to do this. On the attacking side, still running an Ashe here is Phoenix. So we'll see what he can do with that. She has kind of lost her popularity quite a bit after her most recent changes. Still can be used effectively, though, especially in the right hands. Currently, the right hands are the hands of Phoenix, who's going to fire in from get anything done. Cam now pushing in with the drone here as well, giving him a clear idea of the defensive setup that awaits them. And we should be seeing kind of the development of an attack on Pixel coming large in just the next few seconds.
Ultimately, the next step in the plan, but look at that.
Wow.
Hartley nearly for 4 with the Nitro. LOLs in chat, and that is one way to kick off the second half. Man, Hartley, eat your heart out there. The Mozzie going absolutely nuclear, completely eclipses even what we saw from Phoenix when he crept up the red stairs. That is a way to start this round. 2 versus 5 now for Kenji and Cam, and the Hibana has terribly low HP to fight this. Not to mention, you've kind of lost a big bank of utility. Kenji will try to make a play. He snuck into the inner bar, but a Swift popping up from Big Papa. It's going to pop off against Kenji, takes him down and out, and leaves it up to Cam, who is in sore need of a Doc Stim pistol in his side right about now. A few bits of damage against Chars, but it's relatively futile for Cam here. He's got some flashbangs, but, a 1v5 ace at about 20 HP, I can't say I've seen it happen before, and now Cam is literally on a sliver, 1 HP, say it as you see it, and The rotate will hit. He's got a lot of opponents to fight for. Corbeck with 30 seconds left. A missed flashbang is not going to make this any easier. Drops one now to cover the sound of the rotation, but there's a player hiding close at the default corner, and Kartley goes undetected for a huge quad kill there on the Mozzie.
Well, I mean, there's not too much tactical analysis to be done on that one, I'm thinking. He just came up the stairs and threw the boom, and everybody got boomed. Nearly got 4, I think, realistically, considering the amount of damage it did to the Hibana as well. Spectacular stuff. Well played indeed. I don't know if you can reliably count on the ability to hit 4-man C4s. Defensive record, but certainly a highlight play there. I'm sure he'll be happy to take that one home and throw it in the reel or what have you. But we're moving on down now to kitchen service. The Cayenne making an appearance. You see Echo being brought out here for the Intel. Vigil making their way on as well to provide that extra roam. You do, of course, have the Malusi with the Banshee. She can help with that roam game as well if you so choose. On the attacker side, Cryptics bringing out the Flores here. Flores, of course, being kind of the newest entry into the actual operators that we can use, and I would say for the life of me that Big Papa has got that caught. I know he does it. It just kind of looks like he does. He's trying to get it into a jimmy it into a special little position over there. But I mean, I love seeing the addition of Flores to lineups. I find it very interesting to see what Flores brings to the game and the way he's changing how you think about soft destruction. I fully expect Cryptics to get value out of this, primarily because, you know, you only have one mute. There's only so much JD Henny can do to shut down drone entry points before one of those Rateros slips through, and it only takes 1 or 2 well-placed Rateros to really make a big difference in a defensive setup. I mean, there's a reason that I think Flores has probably overtaken Ash and challenging Zofia just for soft destruction potential. An attempted peek there on the top floor will unfortunately net no results, and that will make the Malusi fall back into a more standardized defensive position.
Well, I hope to see something a little bit different from Shinigami. Maybe survive the first step in the round without losing 3 to a Nitro.
Don't get blown up.
Yeah, don't get blown up. Bring your flak jacket and be extra careful about where these defenders are hiding at. You've got a stage drone being played out currently from Ember Rose, shooting a few drones and beginning to fall back. It looks like they have just done that. Rotating to play more from the mid floor here, but that's definitely a curious dichotomy between how Ember Rose had more direct assaults and how Shinigami are favoring the sort of more full clear. One player just hiding there inside dining. The soft wall provides very little cover for Kartley, but he'll adjust the position and then try to hit a fade away as he drops down the freezer hatch. Gives up the roam more or less to just leave it up to the Vigil, playing over by Train, but he meets a swift fate there against Maple, and so the roam cleared. Shinigami have got 1 minute and 35 to rotate back, put their eyes on the side, and have Kenji step into Train and start the process of the vertical play.
Will be the kind of challenge here, as it were. They are using those Rateros as a good drop in through that top hatch, but another C4 kill coming out right there. So well done indeed. Unfortunately, that only levels things up because Char's is dead, done and dusted. Cryptics wielding those Ratero drones with a skill and aplomb right there. Drops one in right on top of JD Henny, will at least force him to rotate. Kenji Maestor now going to work with a little bit of creative restructuring of the floors up here, just giving them this top floor control, which is something that we legitimately didn't see from the Ember Rose attacking side. So we'll have to see how they're able to kind of defend into this one. JD Henny holding up here behind the service counter, just waiting to see if anybody drops down that hatch.
Ooh, things getting a little bit tense over there by Sinks as the defender kind of had to duck and cover as there was a lot of angles open up. Looks like we're going to have more of a bunker plant. Cam will move in. It's a bit of utility, but you got to worry about this. Big Papa, he's still up and he's on his yokai drone. A Nitro tossed out, but it's shot in midair. And look at that, a nade sent in return. JD Henny squirming to get tucked into the corner. Echo still on his drones, and that'll deny the plant for the first time. But in the meanwhile, Kartley, that power player here for Ember Rose, is felled. The yokai drone will pop up, denies the plant yet again, but that's not going to be enough to stop the massive amount of kills. The Echo drone, it doesn't have enough time. Big Papa's got to come off of it, and he jumps away from his yokai drone to realize that all of his teammates are dead.
Oh, I mean, And it was hurt really by the Echo to try and slow that down. Unfortunately, you only get so many concussive blasts, and it's not enough blasts really to slow down a dedicated team. I really liked the angle of attack that was taken onto that kitchen. So many teams kind of neglect to really try and use that freezer hatch to make a sort of concerted attacking effort. It was a very clever idea indeed by Shinigami to get up there, take control of that hatch, and then start using those Reteros to start opening things up, allowing them to move forward, to force defenders to shift. I mean, it was great how they kind of pushed all those defenders back onto the other bomb site. And when they were able to do that, they just sort of started dropping in when they knew it was safe, very cautiously, effectively set up a defensive perimeter and just got to work there, securing the kills that they needed to secure. I really liked that attack from Shinigami, actually. I thought that was very well done.
Well, we'll have a repeat of the kitchen site for Ember Rose, who now stand on
That's bold.
map point. Yeah, that's pretty bold.
That's bold, considering how that looked.
I guess Shinigami, it was kind of slow a little bit. I mean, they got to the vertical play, but they executed on site with less time than you would really want.
That's fair. That's fair.
I guess, beggars can't be choosers. Shinigami, they powered through Ember Rose at the end, and that's kind of the test. If you're going to execute on the site with low time, is it going to look like that round where Shinigami are able to shut them all down, or travel in our time machine back to round number 6, the reading attack, where Ember Rose were on the clock, and there was like 20 seconds, they tried to push into dining, and they just got fed against Shinigami. The very clear dichotomy between those two. An attack on low time that goes well, and one that definitely didn't. Phoenix finds one. Happy, trying to get a little too happy over by reception. I think that was a spawn peek attempt. Odd in a position that was not really his fault. Cartley thinking about a trade, but it just won't come. The opportunity is not there, and the fact that you get the Mozzie and Ember Rose don't have the Vigil this time, that is a lot of purchase off the roam.
It is a lot of purchase right there, and a very unfortunate early death. I appreciate Carly taking the better course right there. Discretion, the better part of valor, kind of just falls back, doesn't try and challenge. Does try and challenge that one though, and Phoenix, well, they're happy as a clam. They'll take those kills every day, all day if they can get them. Now the red stair is basically completely vacated. That's most, if not all of, I think, your roamers taken out to pasture, and now it's just kind of circle the wagons time around the sites and hope and pray that you can get a couple of these attackers on the entry and maybe get some sort of cheeky double kill here to turn this around. That said, I mean, Shinigami are taking their sweet time about this. They know that they have the numbers advantage, but they haven't really let that convince them to get hyper aggressive because they don't need to. Phoenix cleans up another one. Big Papa feeds himself to the unrelenting death machine of Shinigami, and they will just continue on a pace as if they weren't even bothered at this stage. Genji Meister going to start opening up the floor. Only 2 defenders left. They're about to get barraged by Reteros as well. And, well, situation not good here on the side of Ember Rose.
Yeah, it is DEFCON 1 on Ember Rose's map pick with only JD, Henny, and Chars left. Probably not the 2 players or the 2 guns that you would select for this match point clutch situation. 2 to drop the hatch. First, it'll be the Sledge, tries to peek over by Dish's Cam, will isolate against JD, Henny. The 2 defenders do not play together. The Flores will challenge with the pistol, and Phoenix will finish it off with a quad kill in the final round of Cafe Dostoevsky.
Well, I don't think there's much that we could really say there that hasn't already been said, if I'm honest. Shinigami just looking solid across the board, a really sort of impressive display by them. They got their flawless round. They got their flexibility. They showed their adaptations. I mean, it was 2, decent-ish rounds for Ember Rose. One of those, I think, was a bit more of a fluke, just that nitro cell going off early. You can't necessarily expect that sort of situation. Even the best laid plans of might something go awry. But in terms of the one round they did win, it looked okay. But I think it would be hard to say that Ember Rose is making too much progress here against what looks to be a very resolute Shinigami side that is clearly well drilled and clearly ready to win.
Yeah, this looked like Shinigami, who were well prepared, the team that were rumored to come in and kind of be a league leader. We will have Clubhouse, the next map here in this best of two for week 1 of the Canadian Contenders League, ahead after the break.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Canadian Contenders League. Week 1, Day 2, it's Shinigami versus Ember Rose Esports here in Shinigami, living up to their namesake. Grim Reapers of Japanese lore have really put their opponents to death on the first map here. A very convincing 7-2 win on Cafe for them. I'm Corbeck, joined here by Sticula with Narwhals and Unnamed on production as we get ready to get started on our next map, which will be the old favorite, Clubhouse, and that is a Shinigami pick stick. So I don't know if we're gonna see a lot change here.
Yeah, that is a bit of an awkward situation to go to. Ember Rose only picking up 2-round wins on their map choice. And how many are we going to see when it's Shinigami who are in control of the map? Are we going to see more? I feel like maybe, just because of the way that T4 Siege works. Sometimes you get that kind of flip-flopping effect over in the college scene. We call it the collegiate special. But yeah, this could be a situation where Shinigami just blow out the game. I mean, already a 7-2, so what have they got prepared for Clubhouse? What have they got in mind with this being their pick? And what's the reasoning behind this one? Is this the map that they feel most capable on? Or is this kind of a strength of schedule situation where they see, it's Ember Rose week 1, so we're not going to bring out, the craziest strats, the front page in the strat binder, or, the best map that we're hoping to maybe kind of keep left for later in the regular season when it kind of gets a little bit more dicey and you need that extra advantage on your home territory.
Yeah, I don't think Shinigami really needs to break too deep into their playbook, if I'm being truthfully honest here. They really just can run the straightforward stuff. They're taking advantage of what Ember Rose is giving them, the lack of flexibility, the listlessness that Ember Rose has shown on a couple of attacks or defenses as well, actually, if I'm telling you the truth. And they've just taken it and run with it. They're winning their gunfights. They're forcing their opponents into difficult situations. And going into a map like Clubhouse, I don't think much strategizing is really needed here for them to do well. They just kind of have to stick to their guns, do the things that they know they can do, and I think that they will win this one quite handily. Now, I don't want to take credit away from Ember Rose and maybe their ability to bounce back here, but just based on what Shinigami has shown us, they are a very staunch side. They are not giving up a lot. They are not making a lot of mistakes. There was one very big mistake on the Cafe map, which was letting that C4 go off, but other than that, it was quite impeccable in terms of their overall play, and I don't expect that to change here at all.
Nope. We'll get over towards the Clubhouse, and, well, a big portion of this map and how it plays is decided by the operator bans. Whether or not you have somebody like the Maverick being kept up as it was on Cafe Dostoevsky, or if he is banned out and we have like that Thatcher Mav Cade ban situation, could be here in all likelihood. Shinigami for the 2 inner bans, and seeing it as this is their map, they've got probably a pretty easy choice. They can go with what they know, what they want to play for. I don't imagine the Thatcher ban is going to be anything too shocking. We'll have Hibana kicked away. Maverick is left up for all of the usual walls that we'll see him get. And you won't have to worry so much for Ember Rose about the impact tricking with the Hibana being removed. And I would suspect for Shinigami, probably a follow-up onto someone like a Valkyrie.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. She consistently is being quite banned, but in fact, it's actually going to be Maestro who gets taken off the board. And I mean, I guess I don't know if he's an absolutely essential pick to take out here, but sure, if you don't want to have him there, you don't need to have him there. And we'll see what Ember Rose does here as well with their pick. I mean, I would have thought Valkyrie would have gone. Yeah, Mira might be the one to go. It will be Valkyrie. Okay, that's fair. I think that's quite fair. I mean, she is so annoying. The one that does stand out there in that lineup is Maestro. I just don't think that he needs to be banned, but hey, that's fine. Get him out of contention. That does, of course, leave us with Mira in play. If teams want to take advantage of that, there are a number of decent Mira setups on this map that you can run. Of course, the Flores there might make that a little bit more difficult, but it's something that I would definitely be considering right now if I was on the side of the defenders.
Well, I don't imagine Ember Rose are going to be pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. Castle and Frost definitely spells out to you that this is going to be that gym hold. Phoenix had a little bit of trouble selecting his operator initially, but he will 6-pick over towards the Zofia to file out the lineup here for Shinigami in their round 1 offense. One thing I'm a little curious about is to see how they operate running with just dual hard breachers. I had a clubhouse game a couple of weeks back. I can't exactly remember who was playing, but they just refused to play 3 hard breachers, and they would have one of those 2 breachers die right at the start of almost every round. It felt like that can be a bit of a problem. A lot of times for the gym site, your hard breach is going to be used in a couple of different ways. Sometimes you'll see it over by the jacuzzi balcony to open up that wall. It gives you a bit of extra leverage. You know, you can't play so comfortably around the gym hall or around top main, and the other part of the hard breaching is usually used over here where our observer is highlighting by the cache side extension to try to clear out some of those walls.
Indeed, you see too, it's really gonna be not a very I was gonna say, there you go, JD Henny. I was like, what are they trying? Some weird thing. But no, he'll jump in and get that thrown up there and throw the mute jammer down. I don't think the mute jammer is the hardest thing to cancel out right here, all things considered, with a Maverick and then Cam on that ace. I think you can do that quite handily. So we will, I think, be seeing that jacuzzi wall getting opened in relatively quick order. Kenji Maestor pushing up here as well, could play off those windows if they so chose. We'll instead go all the way up and open up the Logi hatch to just give them that other angle of attack. And I mean, in terms of attacking from multiple angles, I don't think this team has any problems doing that. Shinigami showed some great sort of tactical sort of flexibility on the cafe map, the ability to hit sites from a couple of different points and really make things hurt. Mabel going in and going for the low open first. Actually can't really seem to decide exactly how they want to do this right now. A bit of back and forth right there, but in the end, it does look like they will go through the low open. Mute Jammer's lifetime can probably be measured in seconds at this point. They do need to watch out for a C4 potentially sailing in, though.
Maple is going to try to play this one a little bit more carefully. Suri Torch will open up the wall eventually. Finally, the Nitro. You hear it rip. JD Henny goes for the toss, but Maple makes it away and doesn't suffer any damage. So the hard breach.
Thanks for the help, JD Henny.
Yeah, that makes this a lot easier. Now you got
Appreciate
the wall
that, bud.
wide open. That is, you don't often get something like that to go down. Ooh, the mute's got to be a little careful here. He might have an exploding drone right in his face, but we'll actually have the drone used instead for the shield over by the bomb chassis. Currently finds the opener as the mute tries to get aggressive, but he's not going to have a lot of cover in the bathroom right about now. He'll have to rotate back, nearly spotted by Cryptics, who now adjust the gun sights to try to watch over by Flag. Continuing to swing, JD Henny is not eager to give this up, but the pressure starting to mount here. You can see he's trying to shift between all of these angles, but just as he moves to try to escape the M4 from out on the gym window, he starts to suffer a bit of punishment coming in from the main breach as well. Cryptics has actually stepped foot now inside the building, looking to perhaps secure control of the bathroom, and a gym plant could be on the horizon. However, they have yet to clear the player that's standing on the bed. A wide swing and a well-earned kill by Happy. It's going to put us at a 3-5 advantage in favor of Ember Rose, but JD Henny now DBNO'd, and Cam Season will pick off finally the Aruni. Things could be sliding back in favor of Shinigami, but they've only got 20 seconds to make this one go. Go for the res, try to get JD Henny back up, but in this moment, no coverage against the planter. Phoenix goes big with the LMG, but with the case now down, a gunfight isolated charge will line up too to confirm it, but trying to fight against the Sophia, and the hellstorm of bullets from the LMG, the Big Bertha firing from out on the highway.
Wow, that is unfortunate, because I actually was thinking about the time that the Aruni kind of swung down off the bed, got the kill there on the person attempting to push in through the bathroom. I was like, hey, you know what? Ember Rose might be able to do this. They've like tightened up. They've gotten some kills. They're doing okay. Unfortunately, though, at the end, it was a really good decision to just slam that plant down. Phoenix doubling back and playing on those windows was a masterstroke as well. And unfortunately for the Ember Rose side, just not able to turn that one around, feeding straight into the gun sights right there. I will say too, Shinigami did a very good job of forcing JD Henny out of the position that he was holding, and all credit to JD Henny. He did a good job of wasting time, falling back, buying an opportunity for picks to come in. He was lucky to maintain his life as long as he did, but you did kind of have to appreciate Shinigami's relatively methodical approach to sort of opening that up and forcing him out. But, I will say, Stick, I think that did show something that we've seen Shinigami have a bit of a problem with before on Cafe, which is they are taking their sweet time about this. They nearly ran out of time right there. That was a kind of a dire straits plan. As clever as it was to come back and do it, it was very dire straits time. And you got to wonder if that's going to be kind of a consistent issue with this team, if it's just because this is the opponent that they're playing with and they're not worrying as much about clock management. But it is something that has cropped up a number of times so far in their gameplay.
And I think Ember Rose skirmished that one a lot better. That was a notable departure from.
Oh, I would agree.
Some rounds that we've seen from them where it just looks like they won't fight back. That one, they almost made that one happen. They were playing well around the bomb side, and I love the way that the Aruni played. There was a lot better flexibility. It didn't feel like anyone was too crowded on the defense there for Ember Rose, and I guess you could say for JD Henny, he kind of got caught in a position where there wasn't much cover left, but perhaps if he had rotated to play below the hatch, that round might have gone a little bit smoother. Maverick Trick preparing to begin. Cartley just watching to make sure nobody sneaks in from dirt into blue, but a great find there by Big Papa. The Nitro will detonate and Maple falls away swiftly. So now you don't have the Maverick to clear out this wall. Cam is going to have to come in with the Selmas and provide some auxiliary support, and that is going to be a tough kill to try to trade back.
Yeah, and it speaks a bit to what they were trying to do on the Jacuzzi wall last time as well. Just get that C4 kill in. Big Papa able to nail that. And again, starting in a 4v5 here on the attack. I mean, obviously, Shinigami capable of battling back from this situation. We just saw them do it, but it's never a place where you really want to be. And losing your Maverick early on, much like what happened, I believe, to Ember Rose on the previous map of Cafe, that's just a very difficult situation to have to play out of. So a little bit, I think, of delay here on the side of Shinigami as they try and figure out the best way to do this. And a wall bang coming out from Jars right there, puts shots straight through into Garage, goes for another one as well before falling back, and Cryptix now at very low health. A beautiful kill there into JD Henny in response, but did not account for Chars slipping back in. Phoenix gets the trade out, but this situation and running away from Shinigami just a little bit, and they're going to have a hard time pushing onto this site, but beautiful shots coming out onto Happy to knock him. Phoenix unfortunately drops down. Hopefully they'll be able to get the res in as Cam pushes up and gets another one.
Well, the onus is really going to be on that big playmaker. We know what Cartley is capable of. He sneaks back in. Gets the res off. Happy back into the fight with his 3 toxic babes, and the Vulcan detonated. No more cover from close at Tuck, and Cartley isolates one against Phoenix, leaving it up to the ace. AK-12 in his arms as he tries to crest the corner, moving into Cash's side. Mozzie playing close. He's looking at the wrong angle, and Cam, he doesn't check the corner, but Happy throws it all away. How do you not win that fight as the ace just walks through the site?
Tragic right there, and Maple giving it the lull and chat, and you know that he noticed. I mean, it was a bit, again, it's just, Shinigami showing themselves to be the bit more kind of capable side time and again. It was a beautiful shot, by the way, onto Happy initially to get them down in that down state. That was really something, but not looking particularly stressed out here, looking pretty in control. I think you saw maybe a flash of what a more stressed out Shinigami looks like after that immediate death of Maple, but other than that, they were able to adapt quite well. A little bit of misdroning maybe to account for the fact that they didn't take care of Chars. They got that wall bang in, but other than that, they were in the driver's seat, I think, for most of that round. You'll see them coming back now here. Ember Rose going for the CCTV room again. They bring out Volcons. They've got a Mozzie in here in addition to this mute, so a little bit of extra drone denial. On the other side, Shinigami, the biggest change I'll note here is Phoenix coming in on the Yang. A bit interesting there, and I'm curious to see exactly what they do with that. That maybe implies maybe a little bit more focus on construction, some horizontal play. Obviously, you can also use it off the verticals as well, or even straight through the wall of CCTV if you so choose. But the Candelas, to me at least, usually imply trying to take things from maybe a bit of a different angle that's not necessarily pushing straight through the wall or straight up the garage stairs.
See what Kartley can make happen in round number 3. He has been a notable flanker, roamer, defender. I mean, he's really done it all so far. And of course, the question of Phoenix coming in against Ember Rose on the Ying. Another Nitro there, Big Papa. He's really testing it, and I imagine Maple is going to be a little bit careful. He knows what happened last go-around. It does not want to lose his life yet again. I think it's a bit of a credit to Shinigami that they were able to still pull away with that attack, even despite losing your Maverick as the opening death. You would think that's just devastating. How do you react to that, really? But they were able to fight it back despite a bit of a struggle, despite Char's going huge inside of Lounge. Now you can start to hear that Ying begin to sound off with the LMG, and things progressing further and further. We'll have Heartbreach go down. So more of a split focus coming in from the garage side as well. They aren't going to neglect that, and they're going to put extra focus into it this time around. I'm curious what Cryptix is using his Flores drones for. Perhaps it's the shield of Happy Happy, which could be placed over by top of red. Now you can begin to hear the drone beep away.
Yeah, you do see that drone beep away there. It does beep, doesn't it? You'll let you know what's going on. You know, an attempted run out here from Kartley. Goes for the shots there, will not find them. The Roni, a beautiful gun, but perhaps not that beautiful. I think he was shooting at Ghost. Oh, JD Henny, my lord. He survives, but his entire life flashed before his eyes right there. Phoenix now pushing straight in through the CCTV wall just to prove me wrong. Beautiful kill there onto Happy. Happy continues all the way in sight now. Gonna go ahead and just put shots down onto that garage balcony. JD Henny is still there, though, still alive. A particular fly in the ointment pops up and gets Cryptix down early on. Gonna double back in there, tries to get the Ying. Instead, it's Cam who gets the kill, and Maple somehow picks up Phoenix in the midst of all of that. And that leaves, well, Kartley's down, and they'll get one there too onto Char, swinging in from Cash. Well executed attack, barring that little bit of a misplay there with the team kill.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that one back on the replay and how that all happened. Maybe they were flashed out by the Candelas and couldn't exactly see who their foe was. Shinigami for 3 attacks. Ember Rose have come awfully close, but it's a game of each round won by Shinigami. Really, that's what it is here. You got to get 7 at least, and Shinigami are almost halfway there. Go down to Church Arsenal for the first time. CCTV just not working out for Ember Rose, and so they're going to have a bit of a discussion amongst themselves and decide that the bottom floor basement site will be the rotation that's needed, but a rotation seen amongst the Shinigami ranks as well, as they are not only going to bring in what some might call the maybe more third-party operator of the Flores, but also they're going to stack on the Nook as well.
Yeah, I don't. Why not? Just see what happens. Sure, I'm fine.
What could Phoenix do with this? Like sneak in the oil pit? I hope he does.
Yeah,
I really hope
you could actually do that, to be fair. I mean, you know, it's funny because obviously it's from like an overall strategic perspective, it's just not even that useful even if there's no Valkyrie, I mean, that's the main operator. I would think like, oh, maybe Nook can really make these black eye cams not that effective by just sneaking around. It's just even more of a meme pick. But hey, I'm fine with it. I always like to see just a little bit of Nook played. She's an operator that I actually really like. I think she's very cool. It's just a shame that she's not super effective or what have you. But there's a Vigil roaming. That will be Cartley in this position, and there's Phoenix. He's looking towards the oil pit stick. He's thinking about it. That's going to be the thought process. He'll drone in here as well just to make sure that everything's safe. I don't quite know where Cartley went. I think he's still in that general area, so that is something they will have to watch out for there. He has fallen all the way back down to the site now, so it should be clear if that is the angle that Phoenix wants to take for this insertion. Looking across the board here, though, in terms of the other operators and their general positioning, I don't think there's anything too shocking. They did not go for any sort of wide-ranging roam. Maple going to go ahead and get a hatch open here in stock and give them just yet another angle of attack down into blue. They do have to be a bit careful. The trick coming out there, I think, was a bit of a wasted impact grenade, but you can't blame him for trying to get some damage there onto the Maverick at that stage.
Well, the Nook has crept down into blue, hoping that she can try to assemble a push coming in from the oil pit side. She's on drone in the meanwhile, getting a little bit of intel. She's going to have Chars to fight against. He was stationed particularly close to the Nook's Plan Avenue. I wonder if maybe Shinigami, what they're going to do here is take Cryptic's Kenji Cam and Maple and have them go for like a more standard take and then have Phoenix hit blue late. I think that could be a possibility here, but the one problem is I think Phoenix has got barbed wire ahead of him, so the Nook is sneaky, but the Hell Presence reduction doesn't quite negate the sound of the barbed wire when you're traveling through it. Phoenix will now begin his crawl forward. I think he's going to try to make the play here for the Nook, slowly working their way forward, but Chars sees well through that, and the Nook is just going to fall flat on her face as the the push down the blue hallway does not really end in her favor.
I'll give him an A for bravery, but execution could have been a little bit better. All that technical development and, your one wiry boy slows you down right there, but it is what it is. Another good kill coming in right there on Cam. Cryptic's now pushed up from the oil pick direction as Kenshi Meister will find one back the other direction. Charge is in position, though, to turn that into a trade. Kenji Meister gets another one. Now Happy in danger here. Throws out the smoke grenade, still alive as Cryptix is brought down. Everything on the back of Kenji Meister right here, and Ember Rose look like they finally might chalk up a defensive round win. A C4 going over the top. JD Henny swings the corner and gets the kill. I'm not sure exactly how he survived that one, Stig, if I'm being honest. You would think that the shots came out first there from the sledge, but somehow JD Henny makes it work.
Yeah, maybe I guess his mouse bumped up against the end of his keyboard or something, but Ember Rose, that round, they put it together. I would like to see that Nook maybe used where the Jaeger is a little bit more occupied. Maybe have I wonder if you could put like a Flores drone there inside blue, and then that would kind of force him to rotate. That might be a good play, theoretically, there. That could have allowed the Nook to be a little bit more successful.
Yeah.
We've got just a whole variety of trick operators being brought out, round in and round out for Shinigami, but they are not going to stick the blitz. Instead, you got to bring the Maverick, always in need of a little bit more hard breaching. We're back to gym and bedroom, which, other than church, look like the closest round so far in terms of Ember Rose's actual strategic capability. The way that they set it up and executed it, I think looked pretty well throughout, every stage of the round as compared to CCTV, which were a little bit more sporadic, you could say. They had some good control towards the mid phase, and they were able to kind of isolate and trade back and forth, but Shinigami ultimately on those two CCTV cache attacks were able to close it out with just a simple duel pretty much in the end. But for Jim, this could be an opportunity for Ember Rose to try to strike back against Shinigami here on their home territory.
Oh, well, they've certainly gave him a little bit of a crack on that last round, right? And that has to feel good on the Ember Rose side, because I imagine coming out of that cafe, they were a little bit frustrated with how things are going. So a little boost to morale. I would say in general on this clubhouse map, they have looked a little bit more composed than they did on cafe, which is interesting. because Cafe was their choice, right, at the end of the day. But they look better here on Club, maybe a little bit unsurprising, just given the familiarity that people have with this map. But I think you're right, Stick. If there's an opportunity for you to really get one off here on the Shinigami side, this could be it. That said, the pressure coming down already. Phoenix basically in below. Cam taking his sweet time in setting this up. Last time we saw Maple do a pretty extensive attempt at opening this wall here leading in is in the area with the C4. JD Henny prime, so they will be expecting it, and that's a nasty peek right there from Carly. Unfortunately, nobody quite puts their head right where that pixel needs to be, so we'll get a brief respite from that, and they nearly, I think, have their mav holes worked into this wall in the way in which they would prefer, and we'll see how long it takes them to kind of get it fully open. Well, there it is.
I was wondering if JD Henny was going to give them a little bit of a helping hand as he did last time we were here on Jim. Yeah, just go for the nitro and
it's a gracious
open
host.
that one up. Phoenix is just walking at main right now, so let's keep an eye on what he's able to make happen. This is a pretty well-established cutoff. If Cartley tries to swing, he's not really going to have much cover. You can start to hear the 9mm file off. Terra will drone that forces the sprint through. Castle back turn inside stash and the Jaeger prone, but Big Papa put down Phoenix nearly for a third. Side of the head of the Aruni. 3 versus 3. Now a 2 versus 3 as Kenji is embattled outside of the gym window with a player hiding behind the weight racks, and Cryptic really in no position to try to support this. GSH pistol comes out. Rounds the corner. The Mute tries to challenge for it. A nade pushes him out of position. Cartley down, and the pistol will not work against the Aruni. Challenging through. Kenji trying to play from still outside on the balcony, and the res will come in the meanwhile. Kenji has no more nades. No way to fight this through. Nearly his leg clamped off by the Frost Mat, and it's Cartley who ultimately wins the duel from behind the shield at TV corner.
Well, Ember Rose keeping their cool right there to bring that one down, and a very well-earned round win for them. It was interesting, I think, a little bit of miscommunication on that logistics push right there. Phoenix kind of surging in. Maple, I think, around the same time, dropped and got killed. They didn't really have much of a plan for what to do with those roamers who were positioned out over on the construction side towards CCTV room, and that was where the majority of that contest happened. As an aside, a fun little bit, I can kind of imagine why Phoenix was like, oh, I'll play Nook, considering that with Ash, he was basically able to sneak all the way straight into logistics without anyone being clued in and get a kill. You can't imagine but think, oh, if I was Nook, I could do this even easier, was probably going through his mind at some point in time. But overall, I mean, Ember Rose looking very composed right there. There was very much reason to panic, especially at the end when you were kind of desperately trying to get your one teammate up with nary but 1 HP between the two of you. So it was good that they were able to bring that down, and probably a little bit frustrating for Kenji Maestor, who I think thought that he could win that one out. Unfortunately, just did not develop his way. We are back to CCTV room again. These have been a little bit rougher in terms of overall defense from Ember Rose, and I do begin to wonder at what point in time, really, do we start to think that CCTV as a site is just kind of betraying people? I think it looks much more tempting at times to defend than it actually is in terms of its overall effectiveness.
Got a spawn peek attempt from Big Papa. Phoenix. There is a drone there. I swear there's a drone right at the corner. This could be a bit of a bait and switch. Cartley will open up the window, and that could be a sufficient enough distraction. The Ash will just move around the corner, and Big Papa, he's forced back and out of stock. So, not a conclusive result for either squad on the spawn peek attempt, but a bit of health is traded back for either party, with Big Papa landing the majority of it, and Cartley will drop down the construction hatch to assist Char's on a roam, trying to delay Shinigami from getting control downstairs as well this time. Big Papa, he's back with his nitro and hungry for more. C4 will go through, but Big Papa being on such low HP, he has to take cover before he can detonate it, and that allows enough time for Maple to seek cover, and ultimately will mean that the Surrey Torch is going to get the wall open, and the Maverick will likely survive, when maybe in a different situation with Big Papa being on better health, he might have been able to take out the British operator. Now the wall opened, and the focus kind of changes here a little bit in the normal pattern that it has done for Shinigami's CC attack.
Well, Jenny Henny's still up here in rafters and will have to be accounted for. They know that the mute is sitting up here as well, so they're going to have to try and make some sort of play to get him out. He's got ADS protection, so it's going to be a bit of a difficult to dig him away from where he is. But I mean, they've got a little bit of this health advantage against Big Papa, not by much, but it is there. And Kenji Meister misses the opportunity to secure a kill on an unaware JD Henny. And Char's is here as well, actually playing up out of oil pit, looking towards an angle there as JD Henny gets savaged by grenades. That doesn't stop him from savaging Cryptics right there. He drops down in on another one. I don't think he saw him. Kenji Meister, unfortunately, didn't really pick it up either. And the kill will come in, though Phoenix finally able to get the kill onto the mute. It took them 2 lives to do it, and that certainly is frustrating. Pushing down there into oil pit, a beautiful kill coming out from Cam to bring Char's down, who had been waiting on that angle for an obscenely long amount of time. Cam here taking some long bomb shots down all the way by Secret as, well, Cartley will fall back here to the top of the stairs and just wait to see if anybody comes through. Happy in position here as well, and a bit of jam of the defenders right there at the top deck. The smoke coming out. He's got a couple of toxic babes left if he chooses to use them as Big Papa strikes again. There will be 1 kill with the smoke here as well, and a Phoenix, and Cartley gets another one. And Ember Rose electrifying here on their defensive rounds on Clubhouse.
Already improving the margin that they had earned on their own map selection. Cafe Dostoevsky, we're all tied up here on Club in week number 1 of the Canada Contenders League. Getting my Cascadia confused there just a little bit, but down to the basement into the second half. Things have been much closer, and I think we're all glad to say so. Cafe was a bit of a tough one to watch for Ember Rose, but now Ember are on the attack. And this is where they struggled the most on Cafe, because they were not really able to rotate and play as dynamically as Cafe demanded. But, you know, on Clubhouse, you can afford to be a little bit more straight and narrow. You just have to be very authoritative with what push you're going to go for. You need to decide, okay, we've got the Maverick, we've got the Ace, so theoretically, we can probably open the Moto in the kitchen hatch, and then maybe we use whatever hard breach is left to open up dirt, and we do kitchen dirt, or we use the Ace charges, we clear, the mute jammers off the church wall, and you go for more of a horizontal take. You have to make that decision. It needs to come, about the halfway point in the round, once you've kind of sussed out where the defenders are. If there's more utility stacked up inside church and it's kind of overwhelming to attack, then you have to decide, okay, we don't push church. Instead, let's try to go for a hot drop into Arsenal and get the plant down from there, rather than, attempt church, which could be fruitless in that scenario. You can't make the decision at the last minute, because we've seen time and time again, Shinigami are well prepared to gun you down if you try to go for that really late stage, kind of more hectic assault.
It's a bit of a wide-ranging roam setup that's come out here. It's a little bit different from, I think, what the standard operator lineups that a lot of teams like to do. You're not really seeing a Mozzie in here, for example. You are seeing an Ella here as well, but they need to be careful, because if JD Henny kind of sniffs this out, really it's just going to be Kenji Meister here around the point to defend it. Everybody else kind of away with the fairies. Maple, I guess, in the James General area sort of coming back, and now actually Kenji Meister is peeled back up towards Secret. So really it's just Maple here, and I think JD Henny actually getting clued in. You saw the drone going down the tunnel there, a tiny little blip on your screen. Meanwhile, the other defenders kind of up and around, but not really finding any targets. Now that Phoenix is brought down through a little bit of gunfire, they're in a dangerous situation indeed. Maybe, just maybe, we start making the call here to try and peel this one back. Still early days left in the round. You could make some adaptations here if you really wanted to, Stick, but you feel like things are going to get a little bit dangerous here. It's only going to take one more kill for this really to tip out of Shinigami's hands.
Yeah, it's really hard to play back on the side here, especially because, Shinigami still need to kind of rotate back, and they're caught in this position now where the roam has been detected. And so you would think that Ember Rose are going to probably have a clamp down on the push, but just from what we can tell off the back of the highlights, Cryptics can get back to site either by going down blue or by going down oil pit. You know, there's not really anybody over here. The castle barricade affords him a lot of protection. A drone will spot him out, and so Cryptics thinks better of the attempted flank with a minute left on the board. All things considered, shield now detected by Big Papa, so there is still that last kind of step of utility that you're going to need to clear before the push can come through.
40 seconds left on the clock now, building up quite well. The defenders circling back a little bit. Maple is down, and that's a critical kill to be taken out right there, considering that he was sort of the point defender. Kenji Meister striking back quickly, though. Kenji Meister adding up another one there as Cartley does go down, and now a 3-3 situation. JD Henney is going in for the plant. Kenji Meister is down, and these defenders are going to have their work cut out for him. Cryptics killed from that top hatch coverage right there, giving them no room to breathe as the plant is in. Cam now swinging out as well. Maybe tries and fights back on this, but it's going to be an absolute mountain for him to climb. Cam sneaking in through the church, does fall back there, and quick reload on the SMG-11. 25 seconds left on the diffuser now. Going to take some sort of miracle here for the Mute to pull this one off. Not entirely outside the realm of possibility, but with those shots coming in from the top deck and from the other angle on the side, Happy will clean it up at the end.
Got to give a lot of props there to Happy, who did a number of things to benefit Ember Rose and to put them on the board for the first round win in the second half. As for the first time in this game, they take the lead against Shinigami, now 4-3 on their opponent's map pick. But back to the subject at hand. Happy, he gets the entry pick. He shuts down Phoenix playing from inside logistics. Then, when the plant is coming down, he does an excellent job of providing coverage. He makes sure that the player rotating from A-case does not threaten the planter, and then he picks up the final kill as sort of an extra prize, an extra consolation gift there to wrap it all up for round number 7. And Happy, he does it all from the flank watch position, which is really huge because Ember Rose, they need to play as a team. That has got to be the strength that they use here against Shinigami. It can't just be, Cartley getting frags and making these huge hero plays and JD Henney kind of being clutch. You have to have the whole team contributing, and that has been, I would say, the largest difference between how things went on Cafe and how Ember Rose have accumulated the 4 rounds that they've got here on map 2.
Well, and Ember Rose has to be kind of smelling the sweet scent of opportunity right here. They're looking quite good. Shinigami, I think, are a little maybe flabbergasted at the fact that some of these rounds are kind of running away from them. I think it would be fair to say that earlier on, Shinigami really did not consider Ember Rose to be opponents of their caliber. But here we are sitting on Ember Rose at 4, Shinigami at 3. You got to think that that's weighing just a little bit on them. And I mean, I think they're a good enough team to sort of snap back from this one. But if you're sitting on the Ember Rose side, you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, we might be actually able to do this and turn this, what could have quite easily been a 3-0 loss in terms of points into a 1-1 tie. Unfortunately, they will have to do a little bit of Maverick work here on their lonesome. The shot's coming out there to try and remove the Mute Jammer. Cams is in this general position, does have a C4 still that they could rip at any point in time, holding tight with the SMG-11, just waiting for the opportunity for the kill. Big Papa now up here focusing on the Logi hatch. Maple is in this general area, though, and will be perhaps securing that kill if that Zofia kind of puts one foot out of line.
Seems like we're kind of on the cusp of the push coming through. Saw a bit of a massing up of the operators just outside of the breach. With Phoenix, though, playing from the top of the main stairs, your avenues are relatively limited. Cryptics, I think, tried to peek out a little bit there over by the CC window and landed a couple of shots, maybe against Happy. But Cam has been downed inside the bathroom, and now as the Selma will open the wall, Cam can start to see his death begin to come forward against the horizon. Cryptics has a headshot, though, to shut down that Nomad, the top frag, and the surprise show-out player here on Clubhouse. The rotation a little bit uncertain from Ember Rose. Are they going to continue to kind of go for this force in from the jacuzzi balcony? What have they got left in the gas tank to try to confirm the kill against Cam, who's still lying on the ground, languishing there inside the bathroom? He's finally put to rest. Kartley will net the kill, but Phoenix has begun to slowly creep forward. He's ready for the challenge. He moves now past the drone hill, carefully checking, looking to see if anybody's on the rappel. Swings the corner and spots one, but now he's got to double back, and the gym window begins to open up. The sightline clearly there, but Phoenix will manage to sneak past as it's 1-for-1 on the DBNOs. The Sophia and the Wamai both lying on the ground as Big Papa will be rezzed back up by Kartley. The assist from the teammate out on the balcony, but 25 seconds here, Corbeck. It's going to have to be a real showstopper, a shocking execute with such little time to force in here on the push. And for all they know, they have 4 manpower still left, 4 operators ready to shut this down. Big Papa, he's just got such little left to work with, and Maple will shut him down, finally shattering the streak of rounds won by Ember Rose.
Well, it looked pretty convincing there for a moment from the defensive, or from the attacking side, I should say. They did a good job of getting the jacuzzi wall open, putting that pressure down immediately onto Cam, who was stationed in the bathroom. A bit of an interesting comparison between JD Henning and Cam in terms of how they played the mute in that bathroom area. JD Henning obviously demonstrating a bit more survivability right there when push came to shove, but still, it was a good recovery there from Shinigami, because I think that one could have spiraled out of control quite easily, but they kind of, came back into it, sort of reset their priorities, and were just able to get the kills that they needed to get. I mean, it was a valiant effort, I should say, on the side of Ember to try and set up maybe some different angles to play into those sites to try and get kills. You saw that bit of play on the gym window, but it just sort of betrayed him. And at the end of the day, I do genuinely think this Shinigami squad are just a little bit more solid in terms of their overall gunplay, and I think that really showed there. A lot of these rounds that they won on Clubhouse, and you've said something similar, Stick, are basically just them winning their duels. Right at the end of the day, they're getting the gunplay kills, and at the end of the day, no matter what you want to say about Siege, it is tactical, it does involve strategy, everything else, it's chess, whatever you want to call it. It is still a first-person shooter. Gun skill does matter, and gun skill, I think, delivered that win to Shinigami.
Yeah, Siege is a first-person shooter, and the inability to shoot back has been the cause of a lot of players being dropped. So, you have got to be able to play your role, to strategize, and, fit within the actual lineup of the team, but you also, you can't just not have a gun and not shoot back against your opponents, which is kind of the more Call of Duty element of this game. Got the CC hold finally coming up after a site of church and gym in the second half. This was rough waters for Ember Rose. They picked it up on the final go around, but the first 2 were a little bit more disastrous. Char's having a bit of trouble with the heart breaching process as the Swiss cheesing done by Cam with the shotgun. It's never going to make this one too easy. Cryptic's taking a little bit of damage there from up on the balcony. Charles has dodged away. They're wondering about a threat of a nitro cell. You can continue to see the 3-ping comes up, but they're still part of that hard wall that you need to get rid of, and the time continues to be wasted here. You can still see it there. It's right in the center right, part of the hard wall that has not been removed, and Ember Rose have got to get rid of this eventually. I think there's just a little bit of worry, about what might happen. Partly, though. Here he comes, Corbeck, kind of swinging in, searching for the Cade, who goes for the reload and is completely asleep at the wheel. Genji cut down there by the G36, and Ember Rose, they've got the opening pick.
He just had no idea that he was there. Just came around the corner, and Kenji Meister, I think, was more surprised than anybody else was in the entire server that Kartley rolled in and got that kill. Still, the defender's relatively tight here. Despite losing the Kaid, their positioning is pretty strong. You still have to make a pretty significant effort to get them out. Phoenix, however, needs to start thinking about coming back to Roost. Is down there on the low ground at the moment. Probably they're going to need his gun more center focused right here, as Happy unleashes the first Rotero in to try and force this defender up on the rafters to push out. That will be Cryptix there. Cryptix does get a kill on Happy as Phoenix does go down. I did say he wanted to try to get in time.
Bit of an unfortunate situation there, but Cryptic stands tall from inside the rafters, and a beautiful find by Cam. This attack starting to wind down a little bit further. Shotgun, M590, muzzle train on the bottom of the staircase, but Cryptix is going to shut down Cartley before he can even put 1 foot up to the staircase. JD Henny now playing from outside CC window. He's got 15 seconds to find 3 picks. Hops in, tries to find 1, but is distracted amongst all of the raucous nature of that CC hold. And a big round for Cryptix, personally, who was a little bit slower so far this game, but heated up when he was needed and will put Shinigami back at the helm. 1 round lead. It's thin, but it's 5-4.
Shinigami needs to just push this one through. They've regained the momentum here. They've slowed Ember Rose's roll. I think this is a time at which Ember Rose is going to be a little bit vulnerable, and if Shinigami just wants to drive it home, they can win this round, and I think it's pretty much theirs. You see Montaigne coming out here from Chars. He's 6-picking out of it, I think. He might be trying to bait a pick coming out of the Ember Rose or the Shinigami side, and they will do so. Jaeger comes in, and so Ash will be brought out. The Montaigne, perhaps a little bit of a tactical chicanery going on right there, but ultimately will be a non-threat. You see the Shinigami defenders, one of interesting note, Kenji Meister coming out on the Legion, so you will see those goo mines in play. They can actually be a little bit helpful for the tunnel defense. Smoke being neglected again, which I feel like the Shinigami side has not been big smoke fans. You did say on Cafe, oh, you don't absolutely need, smoke. You can kind of play without it, and I would agree with that. I do think on this basement site in particular, though, on Clubhouse, you can really benefit from the smoke helping you hold that tunnel area. I've seen some very, very impressive smoke holds down that general direction, but instead they're going to slap a Surya gate up on it, maybe throw some goo mines over there as well, and that's going to account for their sort of defense of that general position. This is the sort of attack that I think is going to flounder just a little bit on the Ember Rose side. They have the Maverick here for the hatches. They have, all the players and pieces in place, but I just wonder if they'll be able to adequately counter out what probably will be a good few roamers on the side of this Ember Rose side, or this Shinigami side.
We did see initially there at the start kind of the switch with the Jaeger stepping in place of the Mozzie, and I wonder if that was maybe the sign that Shinigami were gonna, swap away from what would have been a roam, because they saw the Monty and they're like, Monty, you don't bring Monty for a full clear. Let's just put it like that. You put Monty in your lineup if you want to go direct to the site.
Yeah.
And that could work out. Saw Cryptix play a little bit away from the site, the sort of active defense style of Siege. Kenji Meister is giving the defense, rather attack, a lot of trouble, and look at that angle. Takes off the Maverick, who is a big operator here, especially against the Mute. With the kitchen hatch not open, that puts so much stress. And look at that, quarterback JD Henny. He's already used all of his Selmas, so you can't open up the hatch. That is going to be a problem.
They didn't get Moto either.
Much of a problem. They didn't. I hope they got dirt, but you can't just push dry dirt into Arsenal. I mean, how is that going to work?
This is a huge tactical misplay. I don't actually know why Happy was in the kitchen to begin with. Usually you see the Maverick kind of forsake the kitchen and go straight to the Moto hatch to get that one open, and you'll see kind of a ranged Harge Breacher left in control of the kitchen hatch, and this is completely forcing a restructuring here for Ember Rose. They have to 100% rewrite this from the ground up. It's like their master thesis got deleted on their computer. We'll see what they can do with it. I think this is going to be very hard indeed. Cryptix is here waiting to shut down anyone who comes across from Moto, and he can play here comfortably, Stick. There's nobody to challenge him from above.
Yeah. There's no additional pressure. Cryptix has just got this one angle that he needs to watch, so the utility here is going to be pretty important, what Big Papa can accomplish with his lifelines, but the flank is being worked. Cryptix will pick off one, and Kenji as well there. It's Big Papa and JD Henny, otherwise Shinigami, to step on to match point. They're going to try to play this over by Box 2 side, coming in from Dirt, and the other attacker over by Blue, but the Surya Gate, you've got to tank the damage as he forces through. A good find for the ace. manages to pick one off, but the case, where is it? It's not in possession of the attackers. That much is clear, and Big Papa, he doesn't know where to go. He's got to clear the Malusi's Banshee, pre-aims against the Mute, but that will not be enough to defeat this defense, as ultimately it's the loss of the Hard Breacher, your Maverick dying on the hatch, that killed this round and that allows Shinigami to now step up to match and series point.
You know, it's interesting because I usually don't like to think in the context of, oh, if this operator dies, you're done. Like, you just can't recover for it. But that kind of felt like that operator died and they were just done. Yeah. I don't think that Ember Rose necessarily has the either in-game calls or the tactical flexibility, the strategy, whatever you want to call it, to super adapt. And I continue to wonder why Happy was in that position at all. But it's done and dusted. Okay, it's match point. You can still fight this back. You've managed to beat them. You know that it is capable. You know that it can be done. Can they do it on this gym bedroom site? That's going to be the serious question that they're going to have to ask themselves. They're bringing Zero to the party here, which is a bit of an interesting choice from Happy. I'm not sure exactly what Zero would particularly add to this composition, but maybe they know something that I don't. On the Shinigami side, it's a relatively standard setup for this defensive site. They're already making the wall into Swiss cheese there to make life a little bit more difficult for Chars. I don't think they're going to be particularly fussed. I have to imagine that Shinigami just drives this home right here. I think that they'll just win this out and hopefully take a little bit of lesson learned from the 4 rounds that they lost on this map, and the fact that I think Ember Rose gave them a little bit of a scare, if we're being honest.
And we had that kind of first half streak develop, but nothing since then. 3 rounds put together, string them in a row for Shinigami, and Ember Rose are kind of struggling a little bit. I see the point with the Zero. From your point of view, from Ember Rose, I don't know if I really get it. I don't think that exactly is. I think Lion would be my choice of operators here. If you're gonna bring somebody for the secondary hard breaching gadget, have somebody that helps you a little bit more in the execution, because I don't think Ember Rose lose with the roam clear. I don't think that's their biggest issue. I think they just have got to nail down the players that are on site, and the use of the EE1D could be, you know, that extra thing that allows them to bolster a little bit further. He's got a decent weapon, a little bit better than the SCK 3000, some would argue. But ultimately, you know, is that going to add enough value? Having the SAM cams, I just personally, I don't see it. So we're going to have to, I guess, take a look at Ember Rose and what value they get out of it. Maybe that would be a question for, you know, on Twitter after the game, exactly what the purpose of that is. But they need the opening pick. That's one thing, personally, that Ember Rose have got to put on their shopping list.
Chars, I think, just winged a Volcan or winged a Gone 6 shot in there to hit the Volcan. That was pretty clever. I like to see that. But they managed to get some breaches here on the Jacuzzi wall. Cam is in position here, but again, last time Cam didn't really do much with this, was pretty effectively shut down, all things considered, and it'll happen again. Chars with a well-cooked grenade right there just sends Cam to the big spear. Does get one, but a good kill coming out there from Cartley on a completely unaware Kenji Meister. In response, the C4 comes sailing out from Maple, though, and now it's a 3v2 here on match point. And this is a little bit terrifying if you're on the side of the attackers, and it will be cleaned up in fine style. Shinigami, well, they got a bit of a bloody nose right there, Stick, throughout this clubhouse map, but they keep calm, keep composed, and they close it out with a 7-4 win.
Making sure to grab all 6 points, that their 2 regulation wins here in week 1 on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Allot them, and, well, GG's to Ember Rose, who tried their hardest. They put up such a good fight on some of those clubhouse defenses, and, you know, kind of had me a little bit shocked. You know, there was this miscommunication, and they were able to capitalize a lot of times against Shinigami, but ultimately there was kind of a few problems, a few weird sort of misnomers with the operator lineups that they had gone about, and a few questions left in our minds as to what was going on there. But, you know, I think going 4-7 on Shinigami's map point, or on their map selection, that's a big win for Ember Rose. You know, they almost pushed it to the end of regulation, and almost they were in a point where they could have closed that out eventually. You know, they had the lead, which is That's pretty good to say. Coming into this, we might have thought that would have never happened, but ultimately, Shinigami, they do pick up the maximum points, and this is going to put them in a great position walking into week 2.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we could talk about Shinigami's performance, but I don't think it's probably the most interesting part of this match. I mean, Shinigami played well throughout. There wasn't really too much to go into there. A couple of small little mistakes here and there that cost them some rounds. I think it's much more interesting to look at what Ember Rose showed us. And like you said, they did quite well there on that clubhouse. It felt very different from what we saw on Cafe. So I don't know necessarily why that is, Cafe being their map choice after all, but they kind of came into clubhouse, they settled in, and they started doing. So lessons to be learned there from them, to be sure. I do wonder too if Shinigami is going to go back and look at that and be like, okay, well, why did these guys that we kind of slapped around Cafe all of a sudden surge back on us right there and kind of bite us? And I feel like, Shinigami did a good job of not panicking. There was a moment, I think, in there where they were kind of like, they were wavering just a little bit, but they pulled it back in. But Ember Rose, if they can find the magic that they channeled on that clubhouse map, if they can do the same things again and again and again, I think that there are definitely teams in CCL that they will beat quite easily. And I think they will be able to at least go toe to toe for, a map or two against some of these heavy hitters as well.
Yeah, and if there's one thing that I would have to say to Ember Rose about, what to work on after seeing the result of this game, just try to get some more practice in on those attacks, work on being flexible, definitely put some effort into getting more scrims on Cafe and being able to kind of change things on the fly, and also be able to set out from the round start with a clear plan of how you're going to address sort of these additional difficulties that the defense put up, especially that vertical play. You want to get that under control for Cafe, but with that being said, that wraps up series number 1. We've got another best of 2. We'll have a bit of a change of face here. I'll be sticking around, but I'm sure you'll be going home to watch the England game over there.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, so it was a fun one. I enjoyed it, Korbeck. But with that being said, we do have that second game here, the final in week number 1, which will be Tide Pods versus Northern Shield. That's ahead after a short break. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Canada Contenders League. We've got our second matchup of the evening, another best of two. This will be Northern Shield versus Tide Pods. Of course, I mentioned before the break, I am having a new face come join me here on the casting desk. Binks, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking forward to get into this match. It looks like it's shaping up to be a good one.
Yeah. I think this is going to be fairly close. The previous game that we had was, in some respects, more of a decided affair, especially when you look at Cafe Dostoevsky, 7-2 for the first map to the favor of Shinigami. The second game got a lot closer, which, I think definitely kept our attention and was a little bit more exciting and engaging, but I'm hoping that this one we see more actual rounds go back to back, and we don't just have this team wins 3 rounds in a row and then the other team wins 3 rounds in a row. Very streaky in the first series, but hoping that we get something that is a little bit more, long and stretched out. Maybe we'll have an overtime or something like that.
I am hoping the same thing, and I like to relate it back to mountain biking. You want to see a full course. You don't just want to see a constant downhill, because that might be fun to see. The real challenge comes when you see any sort of biker, anyone doing a workout, really, when they're doing that uphill part, when they're really working and they're getting through those challenges.
Mm-hmm. One thing we do have to take a look at the rosters to get familiarized with actually who is playing tonight. Of course, we're on a bit of a time crunch. We're trying to get all of the games through as fast as possible. Over on Northern Shield side, I'm sure everybody knows Creepery, otherwise known as R6 Dick. Glad I get to say that on broadcast. He's joined by his merry band of friends, Aggro, Raymond, Hacker, and Dia. Over on Tide Pods, a few players who you might be familiar with. You've got Zigolo, who is actually the coach for Livid in Challenger League. You've got Boobith, who I've seen very active on Twitter. You've got Akinio, who played previously on Solace. I don't think I actually caught Solace in league play, but I did have a chance to scrim them. That was definitely interesting. And then finally, finalizing their roster is Coffee and Serafina.
Yeah, a really solid roster, to say the least. Heard earlier, it does look like Hyper from SH Slaughterhouse is going to be filling in for one of the players on Tide Pods. I don't know which one, though, so that will be very interesting to see how that really shakes up the roster.
Yeah, that could be honestly huge. I've had a lot of chances to cast Hyper, and he is a very talented player, very mechanically gifted, and it's a big part of the reason why he's had a lot of success with his endeavors in the amateur scene and moving up into the semi-pro caliber of Rainbow Six. Another question as we move our way closer and closer towards the game is, where are we going to be playing? Where will the map veto land us over towards? I had a few whispers in my ear behind the scenes as far as what we will get. Kind of similar stuff. We do get the Cafe Dostoevsky ban, which definitely makes me pretty happy that we will not have another cast on Cafe. A bit of a sad one. We don't get Chalet. We will have Villa and Oregon, though, so a couple members of the T3 trifecta, as it were.
Pick coming out, especially because it will really show off the range that each of these teams have, because when you go to a map like Villa, you have so many options on exactly what you're going to do for your push and how you can go about either defending or attacking each site.
All right, we should be fairly close to just jumping straight on into Northern Shield's map pick, which is definitely going to be an interesting one. I imagine for operator vetoes, we're probably going to have kind of the normal suspects, maybe something like a Nomad, and maybe we could have like an Ace or a Habana ban if anything gets too spicy there. There could be maybe room for something like a more of a target ban. I know we've kind of had a couple of rumors of that back in the qualifier stages, but I don't know. Any predictions from you as far as attackers go?
Well, I hope it isn't the case, but Thatcher, obviously. I think that every single team has just gotten used to Thatcher being out of the meta because of how often he is banned. I can't remember the last game I played where... I can't remember the last time I actually got to play him in any sort of competitive or even a ranked match, because he's never even able to escape that ban phase.
No, it just feels like he's kind of trapped in. He's locked away. We were talking about this myself and Korbeck earlier. You don't see a lot of Thatcher mains in the current meta just because you don't get to play him ever. Really, he's always locked away. For Thatcher, honestly, I'm kind of hoping that he gets left up for Villa, but even if he does survive the veto phase, honestly, I still think we could see a situation where he just doesn't get played altogether. It kind of depends on the situation with Cade. You know, is Cade left up or does he get banned? We could have a situation where like Cade gets let through just because both of these teams would rather prefer to remove something like maybe a Maestro and a Valkyrie, or Maestro Mira, for example. Kind of a situation like that where Cade, yeah, he's a problem, but having that intel can be so punishing on Villa.
Now, can you see, I personally think a Flores ban is also in the realm of possibilities. We've seen how potent he can be when you clear all this utility on site. I believe last map on Clubhouse, the RC Ratero was used to clear out, I believe, 3 Wamai pucks on top of Raptors and Garage. And that is so much utility gone with one single explosive. And if it's well placed, it could be absolutely devastating to any sort of defensive lineup.
Yeah, Flores, you've got to watch out for him, especially given he's got so many drones, you can kind of just spray and pray. It's not like Twitch where you kind of have to be sort of cautious with the drones. You know, you can get a decent bank of utility with a well-placed Twitch drone, but with Flores, you know, it's a problem for defenders. You know, it's not like a Twitch drone where you can kind of just spray at it and hope that you take it down. You know, it's no real threat to you. Now, a Flores drone, if you miss, you know, it could detonate and it could cause some real damage to your team, especially if we're seeing the Flores drones utilized more like kind of in a late stage of the round. That becomes very problematic with the effect the drones have, especially on Villa when you're thinking about something like Aviator. Imagine, you know, a Flores drone detonates inside of the vault. Like, where do you run? You got to go somewhere. Aviator, you're probably going to have a wall open and an attacker holding your cross. The same could be true inside games as well if you can see the study wall open, and that can be very dangerous realistically.
Yeah, and I think just to capitalize on this point is the RC Ratero will also be able to make a decent sized rotate hole on a wall, and you can jump and detonate. So if you can click your jump key and then quickly detonate the drone, it will anchor to the nearest surface. So I'm really interested to see how teams can play with making new rotates. But that's right, we are hopping right on into Villa, and the first ban is coming out. So no need for speculation because we will have hard data now.
Gotta love the chat already getting quite active. We will not have my hope of the Thatcher surviving the veto stage. He gets removed first as Northern Shield do not want to take any risks with potentially leaving him up. The onus on Tides for the inner bans, who I imagine probably would go for the Nomad, who's been a fairly common ban in the more current day veto kind of meta that Villa sees, just because there's so limited opportunities. But there we go.
Oh.
We'll have the Flores ban. We won't get to talk about his RCE drones, at least here in the first map of this regular season game. Maybe he'll stick around for the second game later on Oregon, though I think a Flores ban is probably even more likely if we are to see Oregon.
Yeah, but that is a story for another day. Although Valkyrie, no surprise there. I know Sticula briefly mentioned it, and for good reason. Valkyrie has so many hard-to-find cameras, and she almost forces an IQ pick in most cases. So if you take the Valkyrie off the board, you free up your own lineup. So good to have her off the board. And Mira, another very potent operator on Villa, simply for the fact that her Black Mirrors are extremely hard to deal with, even with the recent rework. How often are you actually able to get up and punch a Mira without being shot yourself?
Yeah, that was pretty unlikely to see, especially for like an Aviator hold when you've got Miras watching study side. That could be pretty dangerous if you try to go up and punch one. I know from what I've seen of Mira as well, sometimes you'll have like an extension played with Mira as well, so we could see maybe that be a little bit less beneficial for the defense, or a little bit less up in the face of the offense. If you don't have Mira to support your extension, you might have to play a little bit more reserve for the lineup first from Tide Pods. They're definitely getting a little bit creative, as we'll have the Nomad dropped off in favor of a Buck. The Zero brought as well will mean that you don't completely capitulate on the subject of the flank watch. You still got a couple of those Sam cams. It's going to be important, especially when you're thinking about Aviator and games, how you want to attack this. You need to make sure that you don't lose control of the middle floor because somebody just rotates down, maybe the Astro Stairs or down red to try to retake that. You got to be able to kind of put your full focus on towards the side, and then maybe Tide Pods just have one player that's, off cycling all of the Sam cams to watch the flanks.
Prep phase nearly at its end, and more of a default setup being put into place by Northern Shield. I'm interested by this Vigil roam. I'm never too much of a fan of a solo roam, but based on the 3 reinforcements he's taking up inside of Statuary, I do believe he should be assisted at least by the Mozzie of aggro.
It's good to have a little bit extra in terms of that drone denial when we're talking about the bottom floor hold and just pretty much anywhere on the map. Drones are no friend to the defender unless it's Mozzie who's managed to actually capture one. Good bit of utility being cleared out, and we have a bit of a clearer picture as to the actual lineup from Tide Pods, who are going to bring in Hennessy, who plays in the college scene for the University of Akron. A swing close to the classical door. You'll have the smoke DBN to actually earn the confirm, as Hacker is going to provide a little bit of assistance there from out by 90 side, and Aggro will pick away enough to earn the opening pick. He takes down the Iana, which is a big win for the attackers here. You're not going to have so much in the way of intel, and as the drone count has already been diminished to just 6, that's a bit of a worrying sight. You still do have 3 Sam cams left for Coffee, who could use those to try to maybe replace some of the missing intel here for Tide Pods, but with Hennessy, Zigalo, and Hypers all down for the count, Tide Pods have just failed absolutely to get this attack and any sort of execute prepared.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, they were able to make it into study, but they didn't capitalize on the fact that that room was given to them. You have to wonder, where is the kill box? Where are the line of sights I could be hit from? And where do I need to rotate to? Because they had control of main stairs. I think if they set up better and got the information that they needed, they would have been able to better execute. But the 2 remaining players, Boobeth and Coffee, I like that name. That's such a creative way of spelling it. They're going to be left in... I'm gonna give them a positive, mediocre situation to really make this work, but they're gonna have to fight the 5 players of Northern Shield who are still left alive, and they have a minute to do it. Coffee pushing up towards 90, but he will turn his attention back towards Study because he has to deal with the Vigil of Raymond, who's just holding a nice proned angle.
You got to win the fights against Dia and Creep, otherwise this round is just going to be completely gone from the realm of possibility. We do have 1 kill found onto the low HP, pretty much star player or big name here on this team, but in the return, you lose out on one of your players. Coffee goes down, and now Boobeth is trapped out on the study veranda. He's got 25 seconds, and a gas canister blocking his path, not to mention explosives continue to fly through the gap in the door here, and I imagine the rest of Tide Pods who are currently watching their teammate flounder are kind of left wondering what went wrong in the way that we approached that attack.
Well, where there's a question, I have an answer, and I believe. Now, I'm never going to say something with 100% certainty, but I believe it came from the one-sided attempt. I didn't see anyone go on the 90. I saw someone by the 90 window near the ground. I think it was the Zero of Coffee who was placing a Sam cam inside of lounge or living room, whatever you want to call it. You need to make sure you have someone actually get up on that 90 window and even just break it. The moment the defenders see that it's broken, you are able to free up a lot of angles because they have to play around that window. That frees you to go for more of an aggressive push onto the game's hallway leading towards 90, and even free up your steady push, which is one of, if not the pivotal point of Tide Pod's attack.
It was a bit of a weird moment to just not have 90 pressure. I think they probably would have been able to do two things as well. Like, they could get 90 window, have the repel there, and that would shut down kind of just 90 generally for the defense, which is, you know, that goes without saying. But also, maybe if there wasn't the threat of the player at 90, when Hyper got his down onto Dia close to the classical door, that might have been a situation where Tide Pods earned the opening pick and not what happened in actuality, which was 3 unanswered kills for Tide Pod that landed it into a 5 versus 2.
Well, as the action phase is underway, we will now see if Tide Pods is going to be able to reconcile their previous mistakes and make the improvements they need. And I really want to highlight this. This is one of my favorite things to do with a setup on Statuary. You actually have what looks like a rotate or a line of sight in the statuary wall. The reason for this is you can't watch that angle too well as an attacker without being vulnerable, but the defenders can line up and sit in a nice little cozy corner and hold that long angle for as long as they need to if the bedroom push does come out. But a big change in pace as Tide Pods has actually gone for a very aggressive study and aviator clear. And they've already made their way up to 90 and are starting to look down the barrel of the statue door.
Getting everything in position for Tide Pods. They want to make sure the execute onto the site here is a little bit more clean and well thought through before they actually put it into motion. Stark contrast to what had gone down there in the previous round. You do have this walk-in closet extension, which has gone mostly unanswered. Zigalo puts a little bit of pressure out on the master balcony, but nothing set up to properly clear this, and I imagine that's probably going to remain the case. This seems like Tide Pod's mainly coming in for a study statue push rather than addressing, you know, what's going on over by the master bedroom, which could come to cost them later, because if Raymond isn't really forced out of the walk-in closet, you can't take control of master, and that sets up the defense to have a lot more cover than you would really think. Moving forward, though, we'll have Dia kind of charge through into the gun barrel of his opponent, and Tide Pods, another round where things just kind of fall apart at a really weird moment. Northern Shield are looking very well prepared here, and the fact that Tide Pods can't really solidly clear out the top floor, I mean, it almost felt like this was a trophy and statue attack, but no, in actuality, it's the vertical extension, and Tide Pods have just not been able to get past it, and, well, it's a bit of a belated affair, but Aggro will eventually finish off the final attacker here, but still, for Tide Pods, kind of some attacks that are leaving me with a lot more questions than answers.
Now, we saw a huge improvement from last time, although they did get into the building quite early, I will say. Well, I'm really happy for him. Hopefully you can say, like, best opening line on Tinder, and I gotta say it, I'm a Rainbow Six Siege commentator. Like, on Bumble even, I have it on, I'm like, 2 truths and a lie. I'm a competitive swimmer, I'm a competitive esports commentator, and I speak 3 languages. And people always say, I'm guessing the lie is the esports commentator. I always get to say, no. The lie is that I can speak 3 languages. I'm still learning 3 languages. I cannot speak them if my life depended on it.
What 3 languages do you learn?
Well, I can speak English and French. I am Canadian in the Canadian Contenders League. But I'm learning Spanish, so yo hablo un poquito español. There we go. And I can roll my R's, so like for Flores, like that's why I like to see Flores in play, because I can really flex that I know my R's and go, and Flores with his Ratero drone is going to be pushing in. But,
All right.
But regardless, getting back to my previous point, their push, they were nice and aggressive with it. They had the whole, like the entirety of the south side, but they needed to have more of a split push. And my reconciliation for that is get the Aster Repel. If you're going to clear out bedroom, you need that cross. I'm huge on these crossfire and these cross peak angles. You're going to absolutely need to have Aster window in order to stop any rotates, 1, down the stairs, or just across. But what a shot from Boobith. That will be the opening kill on the side of Tide Pods this case, with the Mozzie falling.
That's a pretty big kill as well there, because Tide Pods have kind of struggled with their openers so far. You take down Hacker, and that puts a bit more pressure on Aggro, who kind of has to think about it, you know, if I've lost my Mozzie, my duo on the Realm, you know, the attackers have got this full strength requisition over by Study side. Maybe calling for some reinforcements. That'll be Raymond. He gets a quick tease around the 90 corner eventually. Just rotate back, and a bit of a weird use of a Selma. Hypers will just end up lifelining it through. Still working on the game's clear, but Zigalo cuts down aggro, and that should be the Rome component eliminated for the first time. It looks like Tide Pod have got their hands on the steering wheel here and are setting a course for a successful trophy attack. A rotate hits, a shield, terrible timing from Dia. He gets cut down, and Creep is looking at the wrong angle, trying to stare through the soft wall. He'll get flattened as well, leaving it all up to Raymond, and Hypers will hit the swing. Tide Pods with a complete opposite of how they've looked so far, and it largely came down to that teamwork effort.
It all came off. I feel like, so they rolled their shoulders like, all right, let's turn this round. And that kill from Boobith onto the Mozzie, I feel like after that, it just started to grow exponentially. Those guys pushed in like they basically owned the place. And that's exactly what we needed to see. I'm not too sure what the information game looked like, but I have to wonder, did that come down to just the confidence play from Tide Pods, or was it the angles they were holding, or just sheer luck and timing?
I would hope it wasn't just timing, because it looks like you never want to have a round that's just one, like, oh, you know, that was chance. That seems like kind of, you know, that's the bottom fragger and their excuse for why they lost the round. It's like, oh, it was the timing. You know, it's not that I overpeaked. I got timing, man. You know, he shot my ghost or something like that. No, yeah, that looked like a much more solid round. Maybe it was Hypers who kind of was like, you know, I was kind of doing sort of terrible the first two rounds, and so he just kind of stepped up and he was like, yeah, this is my round. I'm gonna be the big man on campus, and I'm just gonna kind of roll through. And he cut down pretty much everyone that stepped in his way. I think that's probably the way that you want to play this one. Probably let Hypers kind of determine how the game is going to go a little bit more than, you know, trying to have Hypers actually play the role of a sub, because given Hypers' gun skill just outright, I think that would probably be the better of the two options. Anything like that. Try to just shock Northern Shield, because if I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're the right team to play very structured against. I think you want to play very aggressive and kind of almost sort of monkey style. I think that would shut them down.
Monkey style. I like the way that sounds. That just, it makes Siege sound a lot more fun and aggressive than it actually is. But early drone will come out, followed by an Iona Gemini replicator, and both the players of Raymond as well as Aggro will be spotted out. And Hypers, doing his thing, will find the opening kill. He'll find two. Boobit to stack onto that, make it 3. And now before the 2-minute mark, we're already in a 5v2. Dia and Creepery, the remaining two. Hypers looking for a third for the round. He'll light up Creepery, playing by Vault, finishing off. There's a fourth, but there's the refrag finally. Dia will find one, but still 4 to find, and they are stuck all the way inside a study. And there it is, Boobith finding his second, and a very quick and decisive round coming out for Tide Pods.
Whew. That was something with some spice behind it there for Boobith. What a shot. I mean, Hypers in the Buck just monstered their way through. You know, they saw all this extension. They droned it out. You know, that's one thing as well. They didn't just kind of walk in and take just simple dry peaks. They actually droned it out as well, which, you know, I can get behind that. Playing very aggressive and face checking the angles, that's kind of the downside that you get if somebody's hiding in a corner, or, you know, maybe they're crouched when you would expect them to be standing. Just something simple like that, you can get caught off guard, but not with a drone and clear communication. You kind of take that and you combine it with the fact that, was it the Rooney who kind of potatoed a couple times on the drone going through statue? That's never a very good look. But ultimately, yeah, wow, what a shocking turnaround. I don't know what happened after that dining round. Tide Pods were just like, we're not playing slow anymore. You know, we've completely covered up the speedometer. We're standing on the gas pedal, and we're just going as fast as possible. And Northern Shield looks shocked.
They weren't expecting the aggression, especially since, and this is a good correction they made with the Iona of Hennessy. I don't know if he's played it every single round, At the very start of the game, the Ayana Gemini pushed in solo, and there was no answer to what it found. It pushed all the way up to, I believe it was Games Room door on the first Aviator push. And it did not work whatsoever because all the info became old. It wasn't used to gather anything relevant once the team pushed in. But we saw the complete opposite and the contrary there, where you had both a drone and the Gemini replicator, and they were both capitalized on. I personally didn't even see Hypers enter the building. I don't know where he came from, but he just made a boom.
I mean, this impact, it was pretty much, it broke the sound wave almost, you could say. We'll have kind of a similar situation go down again. It's the study take. Hennessy is at the forefront. You've got Buck playing out from the window, and Hypers will collect the opening. I imagine it's got to be a pretty frustrating one for Raymond, just getting caught out of position without support from his teammate. That's a kill that's going to certainly go untraded. Hacker looks to try to push up as well, and we will end up having an eventual trade as it's Aggro who lands a great nitro there against Hennessy, which could hope to stall the process a little bit and kind of slow down the Tide Pod's machine. Hypers is just careful to continue checking all of the angles as they are aware of that roamer threat. Don't want to completely forget about Aggro below. He's still probably working his way around, and you'll see Coffee sets up a couple of flank drones as well. I'm really loving this new style of siege here, but Hypers will die for the first time in the last 2 rounds after amassing quite a barrage of kills. Northern Shield find themselves in a 4-3 advantage.
Now, it's a good opening. They have the map control, but that kill onto Hypers, I feel it could have been deemed an overpeak without the info, but with how confident he was, it's no wonder he went for that swing. But now for the remaining 3 players, they have the time and they surely have the drones to make this push work, with 2 players being situated inside of games. And once again, you have the player playing that long angle inside of study, which is the problem with leaving it uncontested. Now, they don't have the time to rotate around, but should they find the pick onto the Legion, that can make a massive impact on the round.
Good try there from Boobeth, looking to shoot the Toxic Babe out of the air, but he just slightly misses the shot. Well, the Legion detected, he goes prone, but it looks like Coffee just not quite apt enough to spot that one, rotates around. Pretty much the enemy of Northern Shield here is going to be over-peaking. Do not feed Coffee these one-on-one gunfights. Of a player hiding tucked in the corner. Fortunately, there's just no real possibility that Coffee checks this, and the Legion will swing out to find Coffee un-ADS'd and ripe for the picking, as Northern Shield are going to interrupt the streak of rounds the Tide Pods have put up so far, but will that be the case in round number 6? It's hard to say, because these last 2 rounds before Aviator there were kind of dominated by Hypers in his entry performance. So when he goes down, the rest of the team is kind of left sort of wondering, how do we fill his shoes?
I think that's a good way to put it. And the other thing that I'm partially questioning right now is we still not had a single 1v1 in this game. I feel like the round has been won maybe a minute to minute 30 seconds in a lot of the time. Even before that, we haven't had these close, nail-biting rounds between these teams. You know pretty early on what is going to happen. And I think both teams need to take a second. On the side of Tide Pods, I think there needs to be a bit of aggression, hold the line, prepare, set up, and push again. What just happened? Was that a bit of friendly fire? Oh, man.
How to be.
Oh, that's more than just a scrape on the knee. Dia is going to be lit up to 50 health. And on this hold onto Dining, I gotta wonder, will Tide Pods go for an out attack to properly clear out this hold up above on the second floor?
Well, things should look pretty familiar if you remember what happened last time we had this vertical extension up above. It's so developed. Northern Shield almost try to make it look like this is actually the site itself, but no, this is just the setup and then the preparation for the fall off. But
oh, are we gonna see a rush
for Hypers? He might just go completely in, but does he have a drone? I don't think so. There's a stray gate in his path. Dio just walks into it. We'll have the lifeline used as well. Hypers maybe just thinking about moving past that Surya gate, hop through the soft wall, and get right into the mix of things. Hacker is on a tall angle there by Tetris as well, though, so If Hypers moves in, I doubt he's going to be prepared for that one as the members of Northern Shield begin to regroup, working their way back on towards the site. It looks like Tide Pods are having a bit of a stall out in their momentum, but Coffee, a great find, is going to put the advantage up 2 men to the favor of the offense. And another one hiding up near the hatch. It's Raymond on the Jaeger, who nearly picks off an attacker way down below near Mexico, but ultimately neither of the two parties involved there are going to come away any worse for wear.
I find it quite interesting in this case because we have seen Tide Pods. They got the opening kill, and the moment you saw that opening kill, we saw a absolute blizzard of defenders rotating or attempting to rotate back to site. And now left in a 2v4, there's a triple kill for Hyper, and that will force Raymond to rotate down in through Laundry. He'll have to enter through Grammy. Shots coming down. The plant from Zigolo will be a success, and Tide Pods are looking quite good for the split. It will be a 3-3 split with Hyper ending it off with a nice, clean 4K.
Hyper's has been just a monster, but unfortunately in some rounds he's had like 0 performance. It's kind of like a 0 or hero situation. Either he just flies into the site and takes everybody with him, or he gets caught in an off angle and kind of gets shut down. I just quickly sent a message to the admin team to try to figure out what the kill record is, because I have a feeling we might have a new one put in place if Hypers can keep up this form on the defense half.
With the way he was playing on that attack, he was basically playing it as a defender. A lot of times when he pushed on his site, he took it like it was his, and he was going for the retake like there was no tomorrow, and I absolutely loved that. The amount of aggression is something that I think is unrivaled by a lot of the other players in this lobby, and it gives them a lot more freedom. But switching things now, Tide Pods, that aggression is not going to be their friend as much, as they need to hold down a site rather than take it. So with this change in momentum, I'm quite interested to see how they are going to adapt their playstyles. Are they still going to go for those quick early peaks, end the round before it even begins? Or are we going to see them go a bit more laid back? Are they going to go for those long angles and really wait out the round?
Well, with Hypers on the Maz, you might think that they would go for more of a roam, but I'm not sure exactly yet what the plan will be entirely, but Northern Shield have got a much clearer picture of kind of what their attacking strat is going to be. I love the Lion. I think that makes perfect sense to bring in here. You lock Hypers in position. You prevent his very fluid, constant state of motion. That could be the key to getting this game back under control for Northern Shield. If you can isolate and shut down Hypers and really use the Lion to his full potential, that can allow you to be just overall much more steady. I think could provide a bit of a better foundation overall. It's just got a bit of a mute jammer, or rather a Mozzie Pest, not a mute jammer. Needs to be clear so that the attackers can make way. No contention immediately. But you do have to worry, Hypers is still lurking below. He could come up from Astro's side, and the attackers have not paid much mind to him yet. They have brought the Lion, sure, to try to stall out and shut down some of these positions, but they have no Nomad and no Claymore to try to block off the rotation. Now you've lost your hard breacher, so good luck getting open the 90 wall. That just won't be happening. And Hypers, his threat is still abound below. It looked like he tried to expend a Nitro, but found nothing off the back of it.
That's such a huge and influential pick, and it goes completely unpunished. I like that. You saw on attack, he would have kept pushing, but there you see him rotate back, and now he's in such a powerful position. He'll swing and find a second, as Hypers has now had the maximum record for kills in a single match in CCL thus far, and that will be a triple kill for Creeper as he is fighting back on the Lion, and he still has all 3 of those scans coming out, and he will detonate the first one, locking Boobith in place, as this is yet to be the closest round we have seen thus far.
This one could be coming down to a 1v1, the fabled situation, but Creepery could be on for an ace. The shield is destructed, and Booba tries to flee around the corner, but the Lion guns him down before he can make his escape. The ace denied, as Zigolo will swing onto the already punished and low HP Lion, leaving it to Aggro. Bounty of Util in his pocket from the lifeline, and the case as well, so theoretically a plant could be on the cards here, but it's likely Zigalo still got his yokai drones left somewhere inside the objective to provide a source of intel and plant denial. You can see that's well aware for aggro. Looks up spots one. No question yet as to where the second might be. The adjustment there. Zigalo tries to bait him off the plant, but aggro sticks it. Pros don't fake, and now the Zofia takes the fight. Tracer's exposed.
Oh!
The head of the Zofia spotted, but aggro just pops up and takes him down, wins the fight in games, and the attack. They're able to close it out.
What won that gunfight was the quick reflexes and just a beautiful flick from aggro, and it makes you wonder what led up to that point, and it was an absolute collateral kill. Like, I need to highlight it. On the side, I do believe it was Creepery, where that was a 3K in the span of, I want to say, 10 to 15 seconds maximum. All on the operator line, which has not been notoriously the fraggiest operator. And that completely freed up the round from shutting down the aggression from Tide Pods, because I believe that was the intended aspect there. As soon as Hypers pushed up, they're going to get his refrag or attempt to get his refrag. And from the two players that pushed onto that angle, they were quickly dispersed by Creepery, and I do believe that won the round, as well as the quick reflexes of aggro.
Just want to mention that Hypers individually has more kills than the rest of his team combined here. He's kind of on a bit of a heater so far. We got record from Gooby says that currently the record might be 13 by Storms set in a single game. There's only been so many matches so far, and I don't think we really have a conclusive database of who holds the record, but for Hypers, he's 14-5. We're only on round number 8. There is a lot of regulation still left to be played out, especially given that this is a fairly close one. It's 4-3, so we could pretty much see a minimum 3 additional rounds, and that's considering that Northern Shield win every single one of these in a row, which is just pretty unrealistic. Hypers plays from the corner. He's kind of being pitched out, but that just doesn't matter. He'll take out aggro, and now he's hungry for more, looking for a second nitro. It'll be tossed out. Does he get shot? No chance. Hypers! He shuts him down. Raymond flattened, and he'll go for another round without a kill as Hypers is creeping his way up near 20.
They just can't shut him down, and you can see there he's hunting for another one. He has not rotated out of study until now, and by continuing to play that angle, he has forced Northern Shield to play as passive as I've seen in a very long time for them, especially when they're just trying to enter into the building.
This has got to be a difficult one to set yourself up in. No trade for Raymond or aggro, and you've lost all of their utility. You do still have a decent amount of throwables. You've got 2 sets of flashes and Dia's nades, so you could make something work with that, and Creep has been the player who has kind of stepped up when his team really needs him, but you've still got Hypers out on the prowl, and if it's Creep versus Hypers, I've kind of got my choice there. Pre-aim center head level against the barricade. He'll rotate away. Creep is still waiting. Gone 6 in hand to go for the quick hop in from the pig window. Seems like he's just waiting for something. Maybe a source of intel to come in over by Astro's side. Hatch pop. This will open up the sight line for the Mozzie. Hyper will gun down a third. Maybe a fourth could be on the cards here. Creep tries to fly in. He's inside Boar. Try to push forward, but Hypers has got an answer for that too. Aruni put down Jaeger. Hacker starting to find his form, but Hypers is up on the prowl and he'll make it an ace! Hypers is just a killing machine!
We're gonna need all the stats for this map. A headshot statistic, because he was tapping heads. I don't know if I believe all those kills were headshots. I need to confirm that one. But Hypers is just a madman. I believe that instead of saying Tide Pods, we should be seeing Northern Shield is going against not Tide Pods, going against Hypers. Because
yeah,
correct me. Is he at? Does that bring it up to 21 or more? I believe that could be 23. I wasn't counting.
We'll have to check. 19.
19. Okay. I can't do math, in case you were wondering.
I think all the kills he got with his gun were headshots, but obviously the nitro was that doesn't really count there.
Oh, right, there was a nitro at the start. What a huge, from side to side. Hypers is just going.
He's just traveling. I mean, he was hitting it up. He was scoring dunks over by Study, and then he rotates back and holds down the site. What a play.
I mean,
I'm just awestruck by this. We're 9 rounds in, and Hyper is almost at 20. There is still more game to be played.
what, one more kill and he's at a 4.0 KD.
That is shocking. I mean, that's just for this to be a tied game, to have a 4.0 KD, that is just unbelievable. I mean, I've had 4.0 KDs. I've had more than that, but never in a situation like this where it's so close. And Hypers he wants the 20 bomb. He wants it, but you can see Northern Shield are at least a little prepared for it. They had their guns up, rifles at the ready. Hypers is just waiting for it, hoping that maybe they can bait it out. Want to rappel up to the rooftop, head spot.
What happened there?
Hypers, pull the trigger. What are you doing?
I can't. I gotta wonder if it was a ping thing, if it was a spectator bug, because there is not a chance that Hypers waits that long to pull the trigger there. I don't know if he's trying to hide his location, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt in that case, because you pull the trigger, take your kill on a run. We've seen you do it in the past, but now Northern Shield in an optimal position to go for this Aviator and Planes, or Aviator and Games take, and I'm still baffled about what we just saw.
Well, I think we have a server crash, unfortunately, here, so we'll probably be heading to re-host there. I wonder what that'll do. Maybe that'll cancel the round and we'll have Hypers get another opportunity. We'll have to wait for the admin call. I'm sure they are discussing at the moment what's going on. Of course, we all know Siege can be a little bit, well, unsuitable at times. Boobith has tried to escape from Hacker, who fails on the opportunity to get the kill at the 90 window repel. Creep will move forward, probably ready for the Gon 6 as well to clear that shield. But, yeah, apologies, folks. Things like this happen.
I think we did start to see the start of it, because we saw that Hypers froze looking at the head, and then the Zofia more or less cocked her, bounced back into a place where she was able to shoot him, which was a bit questionable at the time, but now seeing the current conditions, it's quite questionable to see where this round could go, because it was already well underway once the server lag started to occur, and an absolute frag fest is beginning to occur as Hennessy is going to pick up a frag onto Raymond, quickly refragged by Diaz, pushed their way onto site despite the lag, and now hitting once again the swings back and forward from the smoke of Coffee playing inside Vault. Diffuser is still down on the other side of 90, and there is no rotate, and aggro has been removed from the match by Battle Eye. I can only wonder what's going on in this match.
Oh my god, this has just deteriorated.
Oh, no.
And the biggest thing about this is, what sucks is that when we reset the lobby, Hypers is not going to have his 19 kills there on the card, so we're going to have to do even more math to figure out where he is. We'll see the swing finally. She'll win the round, but yeah, the admins are going to discuss this and make their ruling. Yeah, I wouldn't raise too many. I wouldn't raise too many alarms. That happens sometimes.
Okay. Be right back. And we're back.
Not being right back. And we're back. Okay. We just got word from an admin, technical pause to come through, but assuming I don't have somebody in my ear, the word will be, I think we're going to go to a break, because the admin's got to discuss this. There's a lot of different factors to consider, so stick with us during the pause. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long, and we'll come back to you once we have that decision after the break. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We apologize for the short delay, but we have the ruling. The round will be replayed, so we won't have to kind of think about this as the evil stepchild round that we've had in the game so far. We'll go over again, and Hypers will get to erase his unfortunate miss shot here out from the bathroom window. We were talking with the observer and trying to figure out, was it a miss? Was it the server? Where's the blame to be laid?
And I think that for Hyper's sake, we will not reveal the results. We'll let Hyper explain it on his own end. Just more on the end of, if you have nothing positive to say, I don't have to say it. It's perfect. But we should be hopping in rather soon. Now, on the side of Tide Pods, now I know that we have not seen much of the other players, but correct me if I don't know if I can never remember if I'm saying it right. Boobify or how do I say it, man? He has
Boobith.
Boobith. There we go. They have been doing a very solid job accompanying Hyper whenever he was not able to get those kills, or we saw the round where Hyper got the 3K and he actually grabbed the 2K to add on to it. So he has shown that he is more than capable as a fragger, and I'm hoping to see him work out of Hyper's shadow for the remainder of the game, as we should have a clear stat sheet going back into this game. So I'll be interested to see how exactly the team of Tide Pods shapes up.
As far as sites go, I don't feel like this one has any particular value to think of, because we've just had, this has been like kind of a death match, to be honest, so far. We haven't had much hard breaching. There hasn't been terribly too much of that. It has just been kind of Hypers running amok. That's the main storyline of the round, and then everything else, that's kind of like the sideshow. You know, that's what we talk about later. Hypers is the main event that we're all watching towards to see what he can make happen, because he is just kind of just bulldozing his way through here. And now that he has had that round reset, Hyper still has the opportunity, I think, to get up to that 4.0 KD, because his death was raced, essentially. So, hey, we'll have that opportunity to see maybe if he does break 20, and he probably will not make the same mistake out there at the walk-in closet window a second time around.
I honestly hope not. And going back to your point on objective play, we have only seen a single plant, and that was when it was a 4 or 5v1 with Tide Pods going for the plant when they're still on the attacking side. And that was their dining push, where they just had an absolute crazy clear. I believe they started in Wine Cellar, pushed their way up. So on the side of Tide Pods, I really like that on their attacking side, before they switched, they started to adapt to, rather than have all 5 players going from the same angle, they got a lot more comfortable with going for those split pushes. They knew that Hyper was more than sufficient. If they had someone joining him in, they could move different players around the map. And by doing so, they completely enabled themselves to catch those roamers off guard when they were rotating back to site. Although they all rotated back rather quick, on the side of Northern Shield, they were left panicking, trying to find a safe place to hide.
Well, we have, I believe, everybody almost ready into the lobby, so we'll be resuming there at round number 9. From what I know, I think it is Statue that is locked, and I think Aviator could be still played, so we have either Aviator, Dining, or, dare I say, Living Room Library. We've had a little bit more Living Room Library played in the recent meta, and that's definitely something I'm looking forward towards more. I don't know if we'll have that translate here into the Canadian Contenders League, or if maybe that'll be something that's more kind of up by the T2 levels, because Aviator has gotten kind of stale, wouldn't you say, Binks?
Planes and games is what I like to call it, because I just fly circle. It's its own mini game of a site. Because I see the most recent iteration that I have personally seen is opening up the wall inside of Aviator leading to study. And we saw that done by Northern Shield to great effect. It worked out quite nicely for them. But I don't like the way it shapes up with the meta. I feel like it comes down too heavily on gun skill. It doesn't allow for the most versatile play. And then you have the other adaptation where instead of opening up that study wall, or even with opening up the study wall, people will now extend on into Statue. Now with this extension, you open up a lot of cracks if they aren't properly watched. If you have one player gone, you you could have more of a separate gap being held along the landing and 90 corridor, where the moment you have a player killed that's supposed to be holding your rotate there, you are essentially trapped and you have no solid or viable way to rotate back to site. Switching your roles, to me, more of an attacker than the defender, which with the weaker guns is never an optimal situation.
But we are, I think, almost ready to hit the big red button. Apologies there. One thing there about the hard breaching, though, is...
Sticula,
Go ahead.
I believe you may be muted on VMix.
I was muted. I am now unmuted, though. So
well, now we can hear Sticula.
Good. We can get my thoughts on the tense and rigorous game that we've got going on here. But as far as things go for hard breaching on Aviator in games, I feel like a lot of the impact of getting up an N90 and hunting bolt wall just hasn't been seen so far. And maybe, dare I say, we might have more kind of structure coming after the break. I almost feel like this one might become a bit of a grudge match. The teams are currently embroiled in this immense discussion about what's going on between, oh, should the round have been replayed? The decision's already been made, though, so we're replaying the round. It just, I guess, you just got to get everybody back and, in their seats, buckled in to start the game.
Well, we have gotten word the teams are ready. We will see that the Aviator site has to be replayed, as well as the operators should remain, as well as gadget selection. Every single little bit of utility that was selected must be kept. However, that does leave the setup to be changed. You cannot force a team to recreate their setup, recreate how they went for the attack. So that means that Hypers will not be forced to go and peek out through the walk-in closet window. He could go and actually anchor on site and run a completely different setup. So I'm interested to see what different iterations we see on the side of Tide Pods as well as Northern Shield.
As far as the future of this game, where do you see this one going? Do you think Hypers is just going to kind of steamroll this one up to match point? Or do you think there's still a chance here for Northern Shield to kind of like just play amongst their structure and try to just single out Hypers?
I think it all falls to the hands of Northern Shield, because we've had this technical pause now, but they've had all this time to talk, and it all comes down to how effective they were in really being able to elaborate and talk about their flaws and how they're going to deal with the threat that is Hyper and how to dismantle Tide Pods as a team.
Finally, we are back in the game. We decided that it was a ripe time to press the red button and to actually launch in. We're going to Aviator here. That's the one site we've spent a lot of time talking about. Creep on the Monty definitely is a bit more unorthodox from what I know. I think we're supposed to run the same ops, so he will probably
there
switch.
It is.
There we go. Into
there
the Lion.
Go.
So hopefully no protests raised again. I'd like to get this game on the road if possible. Oh no, not another rehost. Oh, we're coming back. We're coming back. We're back again, Binks.
Well, you know what? Who doesn't love screen time, right? You guys get to see us. You guys don't get to see the game. Now, we're going to be heading to a quick break while we reset, and we're going to figure out exactly what's going on, but don't go anywhere. More Canadian Contenders League when we return. And we are back. Welcome to Canadian Contenders League. I'm Binks, joined by Sticula. Now, we have a bit of information regarding the rehost as well as the game. So after further review of the rulebook, it is going to be the round going the way of Northern Shield. So we're going to be seeing 5-4 in favor of Northern Shield heading into round 10.
So, if you want a quick recap of where we are so far in the game, maybe you were just tuning in, doing some chores or whatever, and you're here now to watch Siege. We had the first half go by, and it was a fairly close affair. We had kind of two styles of round there on the first split. It was either Tide Pods having Hypers lead the charge, playing very aggressive and just gunning his way into the site. They accumulated 3 rounds via that method, and on the other side of that were rounds where Hypers would get gunned down or taken out. He was not able to play as aggressive as he hoped, and that left us 3-3 at the conclusion of the first portion of this game. Moving into the second half, we've had Aviator. That was a very tense 1v1 at the final stages of things. It ended up being a Northern Shield win. Then we went to Statue, and that was a very surprising result where Hypers actually got himself an ace. Following that, we had the very awkward situation in the round where the server was kind of up and down, and eventually Northern Shield, they ended up winning that round and closing it out in the end. So here we are, 5-4 on round number 10 of the first map.
Well, jumping right back in, because the round was won by Northern Shield, Tide Pods are now able to go and change their sites. I do believe they have selected to go both kitchen. Oh, Hypers! No way, Hypers! Let me have a talking point before you steal the show. I'm trying to give some analysis. How am I supposed to be a color caster if you cannot give me time to do my color? Regardless, Raymond is going to be the next person to step up to the plate and try to find the player that is Hypers on this dining attack. There, I got it out. I got to say the site. Go ahead, Hypers. You can get the rest of your kills.
Yeah, now Hypers can skip the queue and start coming to the forefront of the action here. Look like NS had a plan for a top floor clear that has been thrown completely off the rails. Hypers is creeping through Pig, and he might have an opportunity to gun down Raymond, who's currently embroiled at the bottom of the red stairs. It'll be kind of a tit-for-tat battle there. Raymond runs for cover, and Hypers ends up with a little bit less HP than he might want, with nobody left on Tide Pods to try to heal him. Nitro launched up. Prepsilo can make the call for the detonation. He'll try to detonate it on through, but I don't think it actually managed to earn anybody off the back of it, so you won't have any results from that Nitro, and as a further result of that, you won't have as much explosive utility left in the pocket to try to assault onto the attack further here on the round, but you still do have a decent result of, well, manpower and explosives, namely with the Nitro left in the pocket of Hennessy. But given this is a 5-3 man advantage for Tide Pods, it's going to be a real troubling one to fight against.
Well, I'm sorry. We are going to be going to caster cams. We're having a bit of technical difficulties. I feel like I should just have like a tape recorder at this point. Just click it. We are having technical difficulties. But
yeah,
regardless, you're back with us, and I got to ask you, Sticula. What do you think of the changes coming to the patch notes? With preferably the changes to Zofia. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Zofia is definitely overpowered, but it's not her gun. I don't think the gun is the problem. I think it's the utility. She can do a lot more than anyone else, because you think about it, like, I think Habana has got a similar amount of burn. You know, she's got flashbangs, and her gadget is, you can use it to open up a hard wall. So theoretically, she's got about the same amount of breaching power as a Zofia, but Zofia has so much. I think her gun in tandem with the lifeline is just overwhelming here. It looks like the round has kind of boiled down a little bit further, but we're still working on getting everything back in the saddle. But further about that point, I honestly, I don't think the gun is really the issue with her. I think it's just the position that she serves is so much better than, you know, someone like Ash, or, you know, maybe even someone like Sledge. They fill much different roles in the soft breaching ecosystem, but Zofia can do I mean, pretty much everything. She can play vertically. She can get rid of bulletproof utility. She can waste ADS with her lifeline, the concussion part of that. Like, what can Zofia not do? Hard breach? Just bring somebody else with, like, Ace? You got Ace and Zofia. I mean, that's pretty much all that you're going to need covered. And Zofia just does too much, I think, for one op, to put it simply.
And we also forgot to mention the fact that she has breaching charges.
Yeah, she's got breaching charges too.
So that's a total of 5 holes that she can make.
That's just too many holes. Let's put it like that way.
It is, and her guns have solid destructibility as well. You can shoot at a barricade, break them down rather easily, shoot through a wall, make a nice clear hole to shoot right through. Now let me take the seat of a dev for a quick second. Now, let's say, all right, so the gun, we'll keep it the same. You guys enjoy using the gun. What if we go and we change so you have 1 impact and 2 stuns? How does this affect your kit? Or better yet, you have 2 projectiles and you can choose what you do with them. They can both be stuns or they can both be impacts. Or do what we have seen in Valorant recently for balancing. If you're not familiar with that game, in order to balance different plays of being able to spam utility, they've added a cooldown timer. So what if Zofia will now start with 1 of each, or even 1 on its own, where she can choose which one it is as she shoots it. So it'll be loaded, and depending on which one she shoots it from, will change the effect it has. And then throughout the round is when she will get more. What do you think of that?
That's like a really, I never really thought about it like that. Especially like being able to choose like what you have. Like maybe, I don't know, you're attacking on a map that you need more concussions. Like you absolutely need as much burn as possible. And you want to also have the ability to like stun out. Having 3 concussions would be really curious. I wonder what the devs would think about that.
They should hire me. I just want the skin.
They should hire you.
I just want the skin.
That's the dev skin. We're back at 5-5 though. So it seems in the meanwhile the game was tied up, as you saw near the kind of rough point of that dining round. I believe it was like a 3 versus 1 in favor of Tide Pod. So here's assuming that they were just able to pick off the final member of the attack. That round was pretty much championed by Hypers in the way that he played. He cut down 2 on the entry, and that has been one thing that they can definitely count on pretty consistently, which I believe put Hypers over the 20 kill mark and actually on 21.
It does. Now, well, if you had to guess, how many kills do you think he has? Never mind. It just updated. He still has 2. Was that question. So he got the 2 entry, and then he was actually just first up. So the 2 end, we saw Ziglo, Boobith, and Hennessy come alive for those remaining kills. Now, I don't know about you, Sticula, but I feel like I'm watching a slideshow. Yeah, I feel like we're stuck on a slideshow. Hey, you know what's not stuck on a slideshow? Us. We're old faithful. We're the little engine that could, or little train that could. I think I can. And we're gonna push through with another technical pause. Where's my I need a voice memo, man. Like I really need one, and I can just have like a nice little chime at the end with like elevate.
You know those big red buttons you can get that just says like bra on it? We need one of those that just says technical pause. It's like, please stand by. Please stand by. We hope that you're still hanging in here with us. Apologies for all the technical malfeasance. Unfortunately, sometimes things just don't go our way. We are diligently working to get everything back on track as far as the stream and game goes. We've really been hit with kind of a double whammy so far. Of course, the Siege servers, it's kind of like dice with whether or not they'll actually work out in your favor, but also just everything has come crashing down on us. But we hope to get the game back on track and eventually make it to map 2. I would hope, Binks.
We're still on map 1. Wow.
We are. It's crazy to think that.
No, I can't believe I've never used this word before, and I try not to use it. But this has been a technical barn burner.
Oh my god, a technical barn burner? Chief would hate you for that. Where's Chief gonna like? That's like when you touch the thermostat and your dad comes in and he's, don't touch that. Chief's like, don't say barn burner. Chief got on me about it once when we did UPL, and it was totally foreign to me because I hadn't heard that before.
I just received word that I do believe we are going to be restarting stream, so our lovely faces will be right back. And hopefully everything will be sorted and we will have clear skies from here.